I don't want to go into that tirade on that explanation, Caleb. No, I'm good. Yeah. Oh man. However, recently I started checking out this one dude on YouTube for some of the diet thing he's been doing for like anime character trainings. I'm gonna be honest. Some of these fuckers, I kind of, I used to always think that, most of the guys in anime, they overbuff them just like they glamorize to make it for the art, to make it entertaining. But if the diets they perceivably eat are accurate, fucking some of those guys are scaring me. What was the one I was watching? Some dude from Demon Slayer ate like a whole like good pound of nothing but fried shrimp and fried vegetables and then rice. And I'm just sitting there like, how does your stomach not explode from the oil?
Because they're young?
No, I don't.
Because my stomach doesn't explode from that stuff.
Well, listen, you wouldn't know because it's kept off camera.
Yeah, it's true. Alright, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a pound of fried food, Cook. We're gonna test this. And then you'll also get about a half a cup of rice. I want to see if you can pull it off. Cause if it is, hey, you know what? If it is just I'm old, alright, fine, I'll accept it, but I don't believe you can do it. I think you're overestimating how much a pound of fucking fried food is.
I know what a pound of food looks like.
Pound of fried shrimp and vegetables?
You said shrimp and rice?
Yes, that's true. Oh, I did specify the guy ate fried vegetables as well, though. So. But no, yeah. I mean, it was carrots, what was it? He had, mushrooms and then, fucking onion rings. Sounds like a good man. Want to be like Naruto, eat noodles and do. Yeah, right. No, I'm just saying, like the way these guys lift and all that, it makes sense with the diets they got. Cause the amount of calories they intake that you see is fucking scary. Like I can't eat a pound. You can eat a pound of fried chicken. Oh fuck that. Nope.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
Man, maybe I'm just, it is, my stomach's sensitive these days, but nah. Also, who's excited for the puzzle tonight?
I genuinely have, like, a legitimate answer, but the problem is, I play Sigrun, so...
Alright, I got a question for you.
Well, remember, this is
Royce.
almost 4 answers.
Can you... How much of a 16-ounce steak can you eat?
The whole thing, including the gristle.
16 ounces is a pound.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, fair. I still don't think I'd handle the oil, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody could handle the oil from the fried foods. I 100% don't think so.
Let's go get a pound of fried shrimp.
I'm good.
Show you I can.
I mean, hey man, if you want to, yeah. We can, if you can find a place. Oh, cause no thank you. I think those oils, I 100% think the oils will hit your stomach too hard. Especially, as far as that goes. The enlarged, Chinese chestin.
About 20, like, over at my restaurant, I think 20 of our cocktail shrimp equal to a pound.
Oh, dude.
Ew. Ugh. Yeah, I can't imagine eating 20 cocktail shrimps.
You couldn't?
No, like 20 cups of it? The sauce, that sauce is rich.
20 shrimp and 20 cups is different.
Yeah. That's what I'm
I
saying.
could eat 20 of the shrimp. I definitely could not eat 20 of the cups.
We need 20 of the cups.
Of, like, the sauce.
Yeah, with that sauce.
I don't think a cup of sauce. I think
get a full cup of marinara.
Well, he
fucking
said
shrimp
cup, and I
sauce,
thought
dude.
that's what he meant.
No.
Hey, no. The way mine is it, an entire cup is for 1 shrimp. Go.
Alright.
I
Oh,
would not make it.
the horrendousness of that, no. My stomach jumped at the idea.
But I feel like, I mean, I probably could. It's just that's too much horseradish for me. Because I like my cocktail sauce with horseradish.
Oh, you'll be ripe for a good while after that. You won't have to worry about your own space in the kitchen if you eat that much horseradish.
I don't eat it consistently. I just don't
No, I'm saying if you do 20 full bowls of the stuff with the sauce.
I feel like I would get sick of 20 cups. Because 20 cups is a lot.
I mean, yeah.
20.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, are you thinking a measurement cup or
does
just like a little
shrimp
plastic
cocktail,
cup?
Cup come with how many shrimp?
So, well, the thing is, we do it per shrimp. We have like these very like colossal shrimp that we sell as for our shrimp cocktail, and it's like $4.50 per shrimp. And it comes
my
with like
gosh.
2 ounces of cocktail sauce with horseradish. At like after like the 4 shrimp mark, we give them like another. Like every 4 shrimp is another 2 ounces of cocktail sauce.
That's no, thank you. I mean, to be fair, I don't like shrimp cocktails, so. But I still don't think pound of fried shrimp, 100% Wolf. I think your stomach's gonna turn from it.
I feel like Wolf is the man who has eaten worse.
He has. He's tried my cooking.
And you think if he can survive that, he won't be able to survive?
I took him to dinner afterwards to for a decent meal, so I mean it kind of helped, I imagine. But I don't think so. I think the oil will bother him. I think that you're you're not concerned enough with the amount of oil that comes on those fucking batter. It's rough.
It depends on the
I'm
batter
absolutely
used.
not concerned with the amount of oil.
We'll see.
Yeah, because there's not too much that stays on afterwards. If you do it properly, it should be sitting in oil when it's on your plate.
Now I am curious. Does this change if I offer to cook?
Yes, I'm not eating any seafood.
I wouldn't trust seafood around you at all.
No, that's fair. Yeah, it's funny. I can make clam chowder from a can.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, exactly. That counts as cooking, right?
it counts as reheating, but if you want to call it that, I won't.
I had to put it in a saucepan, alright? I couldn't just put it in the
Yeah, you can
microwave.
put it in a bowl in the microwave too, though.
Yeah, it doesn't taste right that way.
What? It's just your daily dose of radiation. What's gonna happen?
It's a little concern. Personally, I think it just never tastes good coming out of a microwave. So I got you though.
You know what I will say? I understand that because for some reason, whenever I eat like a like a Campbell's clam chowder out of a microwave, I always taste like, man, why does this taste like SpaghettiOs?
What?
It's always. I just sit there like,
No.
does not taste like clam chowder.
I cannot relate.
I don't think clam chowder, but I get that with most tomato-based reheating products. I think it comes out taste and kind of a little too acidic, and like it comes off
A recipe
sweet.
for clam chowder because now I want to make some.
Oh, I don't recommend it.
I love clam chowder. What do you mean you don't recommend it?
You'll learn one day.
I don't eat gallons
Well,
upon
you're
gallons of
29.
clam chowder.
No, that's actually, yeah, that's the story I'm referencing, Wolf, not that I'm old. No, I told the boys that how I first had my first can of clam chowder. I ate like 4 or 5 more cans in the same sitting. It made myself horrendously sick.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
It was great.
Also, never
I
trust any
do.
recipe that says the best anything.
What are you talking about? All my recipes are the best.
No, that's exactly my point.
See, you haven't tasted my cooking. I don't think you have a right yet to say no.
Listen, I can look at shit and know I don't want to eat it.
Yeah, but until you've tasted it, you can't be 100% sure.
I can't be 100%
Isn't that
sure.
like judging a book by its cover?
Exactly. Thank you, Maya.
You're correct, and I will do it.
Yeah.
My cooking's Listen.
I'm gonna take a
Most
leak real
books,
quick.
most books I won't, but that specific book, yeah.
Listen, my cooking on the outside may look crunchy and burnt, but on the inside it's still undercooked and horrendous. Don't worry.
That's not a good thing.
I don't want that. I don't want that. You put your oven at like 500 degrees for like 10 minutes, and that's what happened. Just because you put the temperature higher doesn't mean it cooks it better faster.
Did I ever tell you about how I set off my fire alarm the first time I cooked in the apartment in Seattle?
Oh boy.
I forgot that ovens need to be cleaned.
Oh boy.
Which I didn't know that they also come with self-cleaning services on some of the newer ones, which was kind of cool. I don't know how they work, how the self-cleaning thing works, but one day I'll learn it.
Usually self-cleaning means it does it itself.
Alright, cool. Well, it has a button I can click. I didn't know if there was anything like I needed to put soap or anything into it, so I always left it be. Anyways, so the next day after I've moved in, Wolf had left that big stew on my that 1 gallon of stew, and I had polished that off, and so I was making a pizza in the oven. Not 2 seconds into heating up the oven, smoke alarms start going off. I have to air out the entire apartment. The fucking doesn't hit any of the other floor, so I eventually get it to clear out. And I just fucking decide from then on just to microwave my fucking frozen pizzas, save me time. It took me a good hour of cleaning out the house before I get that smoke out. Didn't even burn the pizza. Although I did almost cook the cardboard onto the pizza that first day because I was so tired and hot. I didn't notice it had it at the bottom, and because I looked for it, didn't see it, and I was like, all right, cool. Assume it's not there. Of course, I didn't glimpse quick enough to catch it. But oh well. We return from last time. It's been a week. Unfortunately for the players. Doubly unfortunately, they had decided to, and I quote, leave the last one for Caleb and Cook, as Chaston was annoyed at having to get them all right with the group they had. So, specifically, Vormorn and Key, today is your day. Perfect. So, yeah, last time the party managed to solve the 2 dragons, Fairy and Enigma or Engana, Engana the Old, as well as Himkin. No, you didn't get Himkin yet. Never mind.
No, our full list so far. I think the last one we did last week, we did the Great Wolf.
The Great Wolf. Yep.
And then we have narrowed down. Yeah.
Yep. And thus we come back to the party having entered into the first son's room. The party legitimately left off right or at the end of them entering the room just to see what it was said. And so as each of you enter this room, Stumpy suddenly reappearing with you lot. The room kind of expands out into a large forest. A sword stands in the center of this this clearing. Yes. I'm gonna if you want to keep there you go.
I just figured we did.
As you look around, the forest itself seems to be uninteresting at first. You do notice that this sword seems to, this great sword seems to start to float up from the ground, as a giant purple circle around it seems to start to expand. As you can see with True Sight, which I believe one of you has.
I still have my True Sight running.
Yeah. You see that without it, the sword just appears to be floating in the air with strange shaped runes that seem to mean, as Stumpy reads them in Primordial, as shaped by weakness. The sky seems to drip with blood. As True Sight kind of comes in, you can see the ceiling full of purple-like stone-shaped spears with blood and viscera hanging from them. As you start to kind of look about, the first sun suddenly appears let me grab his image real quick.
Yeah, this champagne sauce looks pretty nice.
Wow, good to hear.
Also, I found a cool clam chowder recipe for my Disney cookbook.
There you go. So as you see the first son, he seems to appear in his full, what looks to be a mix of chain and leather, with a bright glowing sword, long black hair kind of sleeked back, and a light bit of facial hair on his face, keeping it very clean and well-groomed. He begins to speak. When I first took my sword to battle, I had only stood upon this molten rock for a millennia. I learned the true horrors of a warrior's fate and was forced to adapt. Though my powers were nothing special, I turned the lowest into the strongest and mastered them through continuous practice. Time passed, and yet the creatures who stood tall above all others looked down upon me. I am the master, and even the simplest of lessons will be taught with the utmost brutality to make sure they are remembered. With this answer, you gain, thus, free my sword. And the imagery still kind of stays standing there.
So far, the riddle with being the most indirect of what it's asking us to answer.
True.
Can we get that in the chat?
Yeah.
It already is.
If you look
Oh,
at
where
the what you replied to.
I replied to it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Every other one had something like burn the truth, this and that. This one's very vague. This will be fun.
Lucius takes a second and will use his ability, which I believe is a history
that
check.
roll.
Let me check. While you guys take a minute to read it, I'll look at his thing. Oh man. Feats. I believe it's a class. I'm trying to remember what his fucking thing is. Give me one sec. I don't play Blood Hunter very often, so. Here it is. Okay, so it's Grim Psychometry. Okay. So I'll just roll a history check for him in the background while you guys are doing this. Why does he have advantage on it? Where do you get advantage? Oh, okay. Yeah. Alright, with a 23, he starts to describe an intense kind of area around you as these spears suddenly start to pop from the sky, dropping down and shredding through this party of what looks to be nobles, all covered in full plate, stabbing right through them. He mentioned seeing a strange coloration of like white and blue like gas seeming to expand out from the bodies as they seem to kind of become like husks and get enveloped and absorbed into the stone-like spears that fell from the ceiling.
Okay.
So, just so we're clear, so Durali can see the chains.
Yes.
Yes, I have true sight.
Gotcha. And you've relayed the information so we all know?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Alright, so are the chains actually attached to anything in the room, or is it just leading to, like, the walls or the ceiling, or...
It seems to, as this is an open forest all around you, they seem to, as you look at your true sight, dissipate into nothingness after a certain link.
We also know from the previous room that he did Grim Psychometry, which showed him something in this room, which was really funny as well. We saw a previous group in here and answer questions, and some of their questions snapped chains, and then their last question got them killed. I don't know if the chain snapping was positive. I would assume it was.
I'd also assume it was.
Yeah, because we're trying to free the sword.
Yeah.
Yes.
And from what I understand from last time, every correct answer would break one of the chains.
Yes, so 4 answers needed.
Yeah, I just don't know what it wants us to answer.
Now, my question being, did they only make one mistake and get killed?
They said 4. It looked like it. They said 4 things, 3 snap chains, the 4th got them killed.
Okay.
So I think so. I mean, he's got to be asking something about his teaching, right? Because most of his paragraph is about him teaching people to grow strong and the brutality of training.
Yeah, I'm really kind of looking at the master and even the simplest lessons we taught with the utmost brutality to make sure they are remembered.
Yeah, it's something about lessons and his power to teach people.
Specifically things shaped by weakness.
Yeah. I mean, he does outright mention I turned the lowest and the strongest, so he went out of his way to teach people that were weak?
That's what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, because he brought the weak and became them strong.
Yeah, because he doesn't mention anyone else doing just the lowest into the strongest.
I think I know why. The DM here said this is gonna be the hardest dungeon because it's not connected to fucking anything. There's no direction.
Well, you see, sometimes the best way to make a riddle is to not make an answer at all. Let your players figure it out, and then say, "Yep, that was the answer."
He's already done that.
No, there is four answers. I have the answers written down.
So there are answers somewhere in this room.
I will say it's not four direct answers. Is the only thing I'll tell you. There isn't like four specific answers.
So it's like 4 ideas.
There are 4 answers you have to give. That's all I'm going to give you.
Okay.
And so in this vision of Lucius, they said 3 things, and the 4th thing they said got him killed.
Correct.
Do we know what they said?
No. As I mentioned, he can't. During those visions, he can't see magic abilities or read lips. So.
I was about to say that has to do with reading lips.
Nope. He only knows that they gave an answer based on the body language and his high roll that he got.
Plus, sadly, the ability to read lips is a feat in D&D, not a...
Fair enough. Okay. So what, this guy stood on a molten rock for a millennia before he took his sword to battle?
Well, he's just upon this molten rock. He's just shit talking the earth.
Talking shit about the planet.
He's just casually mentioning how old he is. He learned the true horrors of a warrior's fate and was forced to adapt.
Yes, he was saying when he first went to battle, he was a millennia old.
And
When he
wasn't strong, but he made himself strong.
According to his own thing, his power compared to the other lords was nothing special.
But he turned the lowest into the strongest and mastered them. So it wasn't that he was strong, it's that he could make people strong. Essentially.
Unless he's
brought
talking
people
about his
up.
own skills when he says the lowest.
Possible.
And it's all one run in sense. No, my powers aren't special. I turned the lowest and the strongest. He
He
could
made his lowest powers the strongest.
Well, because remember, his lore, because I did go and read his thing, was that he had mastered all magic by the time he was a master of all crafts of magic. He mastered everything.
Gotcha.
So he,
Kind of
I
like
think
the
he's saying,
jack of all trades, master of none, but
well,
master of-
technically, master of all.
Gotcha. Okay, well, yeah, that's fair.
So, I'm assuming his power is based on his own learning. He could teach himself incredibly fast.
Yeah. Maybe there was something special about him, though, that allowed him to, be able to effectively learn all of the schools.
It would have
He
to be,
does quite literally say his powers were nothing special.
Yeah, so I think that's the idea, because technically the things he learned were things anyone can technically learn. He just learned them fast.
Yeah, but I assume from the exact text after is that he used this nothing special ability to make him better, to make him
Yeah.
stronger.
Not disagree.
Question. Do we remember for the spooky scary spears in the ceiling that killed him? Is it like does it instantly do that when you get an answer wrong, or do we remember with the last session's vision if it takes a few wrong answers?
From what Lucius described it as, it was after they gave the fourth and the chain didn't snap from what he was able to see, and the spikes just dropped. So
from what we understand, one wrong.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I have an answer, but I'm not fully confident because of wording, and I don't want to say it out loud.
Well, you could tell us in it not.
yeah,
you
like,
can-
I'll wait till you
we're
confirm what
allowed
your
to
answer is.
discuss things.
Yeah, I'll wait
The
till you
thing
confirm.
Yeah. It's talking about like shaped by weakness, and it's talking about this dude's like dedication and his like continuous practice. So, I don't know with the wording of it if the answer has to be something shaped by weakness, but I was gonna say like something like growth, because growth is shaped by failure, which in and of itself is kind of weakness. Like in order to get better at something, you're supposed to fail. Is the whole fucking like major philosophy upon learning any new skill. But again, I don't know if they count failure as a, and by they I mean the DM counts failure as a weakness.
Well, I mean, if you fail, that means you weren't strong enough, but it is a thing.
That was my exact mindset, and I was thinking it's something Sigrun would think of as a warrior, as someone who's trained, is like, you get stronger because you fail, and then you don't want to fail again. But again, I don't, if it's a one and done, then I don't want to say that out loud.
I mean, and it's not like, it's very well possible that people gave wrong answers before the vision took place.
All right. Really quickly.
How many chains? There's only 4 attached,
there's,
right?
There's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Key, as you start walking around, looking about, investigating the area further, you do notice that unlike the other, the first couple rooms, for the first son seems to still be standing there in his projection, kind of watching you. As you get closer and start looking them up and down, being the only thing at this point that you can see that is different as you check the trees, seeing no symbols or markings. No creatures or beasts can be heard in the distance. You look up and down his sword, and you notice... give me one moment to grab the name of the thing.
Oh, his projection's still here? Interesting.
Yeah, he said that at the beginning. He's still just standing there because Aingana did the same thing.
Correct.
A couple of them just hang out.
You see a bit of a strange kind of blooming of energy all around the blade that kind of catches your attention. You recognize this spell as a booming blade.
Okay. He has a cantrip on the sword. Sure.
You also, with your investigation, you notice that it does 4 times the amount of its normal damage. Okay. Key kind of points out about the sword.
Oh, I wish I had that on my ex. Do you think if we solve the puzzle, we get his sword? Like, to keep it?
I don't know. Maybe.
I could listen. I'm not a sword kind of gal, but I could learn if it's a good sword. I'll learn. Out of character. The only other thing I could think of off the top of my head that I was thinking before session, as something shaped by weakness, would be goals/ambitions, because if you're weak, you're going to want to work to be stronger type thing. Like, you're gonna want bigger, better things to work towards, where if you're already strong, you're like, cool, I'm chilling.
Yeah, Kill, that's right. It covers you in energy, and if you move, you take, I believe, thunder damage.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's a very spell sword-esque spell to mess with people. Create her a tank to make someone not move.
I don't need to move. I can give myself 15-foot reach.
Yeah, here, that does thunder damage, yeah.
Strange runes. Are we sure? I mean, it's the only, like,
We're not
thing
sure.
that's sticking out to me. But are we certain that the answer has to do with the runes on the sword, or that the runes on the sword might just be something he had engraved upon it, like, for his own memento?
We're
like-
not sure of anything. We just found out.
Well, ain't that the question, Maya?
We
Well,
literally don't know.
I don't know
do
if
not
you,
know
what
we're
you
trying
guys,
to answer.
cause like that's what I'm trying to answer myself. But I'm thinking maybe if he was super weak and became strong, then maybe he was just like, "Yep, here's a weird, cool, edgy thing to write on my sword." I just don't know what else the questions would be.
I think that for the most part, everything in the room is intentional. Because his real sword may not even have that written on it. This might not even be his sword. It might just be another sword that he made for this.
I'm the master, and even the simplest of lessons will be taught with utmost brutality to make sure they are remembered. With this answer you gained, thus free my sword. Do we think the answer has to do with the simplest of lessons?
You know, it could. I mean, the guy's still there. Perhaps we can ask him questions.
Yeah. Hey, if
This-
we solve this puzzle, do we get to keep the sword?
Not the kind
Your
of question
sword?
I'm asking.
The general, the projection kind of looks at you and smiles and shakes his head no.
Ah, that's fine. I am more of the next person.
I was gonna mention, when we asked Igonic questions, we just got, is that your answer? And it was really annoying. I kind of really didn't want to answer many questions.
You see as Key
well,
kind
this is probably
of,
different.
Durali, as Key tries to get your attention, pointing over at the sword.
See what level he casted it at? I mean, I can try. I'm not a wizard, as I
Can
have to
you
keep reiterating every session.
Upcast a cantrip?
In DM's world, yeah.
Okay. So I thought if it's 4 times as strong, theoretically, it'd be 3rd or 4th level.
I can
Unless
try.
it does anything else, but we'll see.
I can try to see. I don't have a high Arcana score. I have a +2. Sure, I'll try to check. Why not?
I'll ask the figure on what the simplest lessons are.
It takes a minute, and kind of you see him kind of grab it, take his opposite hand, and kind of starts to move his beard a little bit, and kind of thinks and looks over at you and goes, "What's the first thing you learn?"
Kill or be killed.
I don't. I think most
You know,
That was out of
TJ, there's
character,
a lot
by
of
the way.
cultures out there. I mean, and that might very well be the thing for this trophy.
I don't know how Scrofate childhood is,
You
so
know,
I'm
most
purposely
of-
keeping
Most
quiet.
writers, I would think, would learn to like walk first. That's
Yeah.
just me.
Durali, what'd you get for your Arcana?
I rolled that's an 11.
An 11. Again, yeah, you know it's upcasted. It's definitely beyond your understanding of what the spell can do. The amount of damage that Key mentioned earlier is you can pretty safely assume that's not even half what this weapon's capable of, along with the spell cast on it.
Okay. I just want it known because I don't know why I have to reiterate this every other session.
I'm aware.
Intelligent caster. I'm not good at Arcana. It does not fit into my skill set.
Aren't limitations shaped by weakness?
I would say so, yeah. Because flaws and weaknesses kind of hold you
I
back.
mean, Your limitation is a form of weakness to break to get stronger.
Would also, I don't know how to fucking word it in a way to give a good answer, but like, the way you do things would be shaped by your weakness. Because if you're bad at like head-on fighting, then you'd learn to fight without fighting head-on. You'd learn to fight like at range or some shit and stuff like
Tactics?
that. Yeah, tactics, strategy.
Because I feel like there is a word for that I'm blanking on.
Yeah.
His wording, he didn't ask what the first thing was the words. He asked what the very first thing you learned. Period. End stop.
For me, it was the fight. I mean, I was throwing punches in the womb.
Everyone throws punches in the
That
womb.
is a
Most throw-
sign
most-
of a
most
good,
throw-
strong,
Well, I
strong
guess you-
child. If the
Everyone
Scarface
does.
child is not fighting to get out of the mother, then it is bad omen.
Hey,
The
hey,
thing is, though, is that unfortunately I don't think you're conscious enough to actually learn that.
Sigrun, Sigrun, I want you to look
Muscle
at
memory.
Does my race look like we're born to fight?
I mean, you could not fight in my style, but you know,
I mean,
You
you
seem
gotta
like
learn to walk before you can
you
run,
could
right?
jump on the back of larger creatures, have a poison blade, stab it in their neck. You know, something, assassin-y.
Sigrun, my race on average weighs 10 pounds.
Yeah, so big creature won't even know you're there.
Yeah, we don't have much pressure to push a knife with.
You just need to get a very sharp knife, or dart, or dagger, or claws. You have
The
claws,
point is-
right?
I have very small claws. The point is, most races don't learn how to fight first.
Hmm. Well, do you really? I guess you could say you learn to breathe, but you don't learn. You just know how to. You come out, you open your eyes, you're already breathing. Learning to walk is more like just stumbling around. I wouldn't count that as learning. You just kind of do that. Babies just you throw a baby in water and it swims. I wouldn't say it
no,
learns.
actually, no, it
No.
doesn't. No, actually.
I was thrown in the
Actually, they
river and
do.
I did fine.
They float. They float. They're
Out of
buoyant.
character. Yeah, they're buoyant. But they didn't need to learn to do that. They just do that. It is second nature. I'm curious, by the way, how is the projection guy reacting to Sigrun's answer?
He's
like
n-
to his question.
He's not reacting. He's just kind of standing there, staring off at you, off at your general direction.
I mean, it's kind of really hard to remember what you first learned how to do, huh?
Yeah, but I know he wants something generalized. He doesn't want.
Yeah, I don't think he wants like your first childhood memory. I don't. I mean,
Well,
unless
that's what he
dies.
wants, Sigrun!
I don't think that's what he wants.
Yeah, I know.
Sir, is that? Do you want our first childhood memories?
Well, let's think about it, guys.
Yeah.
This dude was a spellcaster. What's the first thing you learn as a spellcaster?
Cantrips?
Magic.
Depending on the caster, like if you're a wizard, you'd start learning runic script. I'd assume that's where you would start.
The laws
I
of
don't
magic?
think it's that complicated.
Neither do I. I'm just saying.
Magic.
Cantrips.
Yes, the first thing you start learning when you learn magic is magic.
Yeah.
Patience.
But if we're talking simple, you learn a cantrip real quick.
You also
What?
can learn the incantation. and Cast it.
Did you hang on out of character, Kale? Did you said patience, right?
I said the incantation.
Oh, I was gonna say patience is a good answer for like one of the things you first learn.
So, to speak?
I'm gonna be honest. Reading was not one of the first things I learned, and I don't think speaking was either. I think I was definitely trying to kill things before I was trying to speak to them.
I feel like you're a special case.
Figure I'm starting to tell you most races are bad.
Well, to be fair, I was above my peers my age when it came to fighting, so you know I probably am the special case.
But I feel
Yeah,
like
I feel like this man right here is power to the Shadow Wizard Money Gang, that's for sure.
What are you saying, Key?
If you're gonna say even just not even count magic, it'd be easier to learn how to swing a sword properly. So the first thing you would try to learn if you're gonna try anything martial is how to properly hold and swing the weapon.
That is true. That was among the first things I learned.
I feel like Wolf is judging most of us back there quietly.
I've lost
Well-
myself.
Feel free to offer suggestions.
Because I feel like
I
Wolf was
spoke
very much
mine.
and then everyone went off in a different direction.
I will say this as a
feel
side
like
note.
half a second, Wolf
I-
had all of the marbles put in. And
I
solved
gave Cook the best hint I could give to solving this entire puzzle about half an hour or an hour before session. That I stated out loud.
What to him? He
What
said
the
he was going
weakest
to
thing
fly.
the weakest thing a wizard can do?
Give up. That'd be the
Oh.
weakest.
You know what? Punch something.
No, there's some
literal
buff wizards
Physical
out there.
violence. That's the
Wait.
weakest thing a wizard can do.
The weakest thing a wizard can do: spell scrolls. It's cheating.
I don't. Wrong kind of weak.
It's gonna make a wizard who thinks spell scrolls is cheating.
Martial prowess. That's weakness for a wizard. Mental ineptitude.
Weakness for a wizard: inability to read.
I don't think
Alright.
you'd be a wizard at that point.
You could picture book, a picture spell book.
I mean, runes are just pictures, right? You can remember the pictures.
No, they're words.
Yeah, that's why Sigrun loves her language. They're pictures.
I hate
Anyway, I don't know if
It's
the
not-
answer.
No,
Is-
we're all coming up with good answers here.
Can we party vote? Do we think it's more likely the answer has to do with like the first lessons, or does it have to do with the shaped by weakness? Because I feel like we need to choose a direction.
Okay,
to
so
pursue.
before session, Royce told me, it's like the weakest thing like a wizard can do was
So
like
it has
the
to do with
big
weakness.
hint. That was the big game-changing hint that he told me.
But again, that also could be a lesson learned, but it has the word weakness in it, which sounds like it was shaped by weakness. So I don't know. I gave my potential
Well, I mean,
answers
because
at the beginning of session.
Because this man is a very powerful magic wielder, but he was also apparently decent martial-wise, and if that's what he's talking about his weakness, being a martial guy who mastered all of like the schools of magic while being a martial person, if his martial ability is what he considered a weakness, his martial abilities being, not as powerful as his counterparts' magical abilities,
Hang on, I
and
need
he
to find
used
the
that to
document.
make himself stronger.
I am going to read you all his entry. And the 12 Lords thing. Okay?
See,
Said to have been the first master of all magic, none are sure who or what he was. Some deemed him the first primordial, some believed him to be Thief in another timeline. No one knows. All that was known is that he stood 9 feet tall, was one of the first mages, and taught the dragons and giants how to use the immense magic they had. Though it should
Yeah.
be noted, his items have never been discovered.
I was just about to say, one of the first things it says in this paragraph is about like how long it had been until he had used his sword, and he went through mastering stuff through continuous practice and time passed. I like I said earlier when I misheard Caleb, I think patience could be a thing, or alternatively, what's a wizard's weakness? Like, worst thing for a wizard to have is impatience, because wizards are one of the like people who have to study for fucking years to master their craft. So if they were impatient and tried to cut corners, I imagine they'd be a pretty shitty wizard. So there you go. There's my suggestion.
All I'm saying is, no one ever stated his class.
He's
Yep,
probably
that's
like
true.
a
He's-
blade
Sir,
singer
you're-
wizard
what
or
is
whatever
your
the fuck.
class?
I mean, you're assuming that he's a wizard because he's a caster. Well, Durali's an example of a non-caster, or who's a caster who's not a wizard.
Yeah, I have high charisma. However, Vermorn has asked him what his class was.
He takes a minute and kind of looks at you, and he starts saying something that you don't seem. It doesn't seem to translate into common from Primordial, as Stumpy tries to reiterate in a way to make it sound make sense in common. None of it sticks. So
To be
you're fully
fair,
unsure.
From what I remember from the timeline, classes didn't become a thing until the Church of the Six Heroes, which is like in the middle of the timeline, way after these guys.
Fair enough.
So he technically wouldn't have had what would have been a known class like Wizard or Sorcerer. He's just a
I
thing.
mean, if we're talking conventionally, maybe he didn't start out like, cause like it really talks about his sword.
If I had to guess, he's some kind of spell sword. He has to be. It
Hmm.
makes.
I mean, that answers, responding to the chat, that answers the question of, like, what are some of the first lessons, but it wouldn't answer the what's shaped by weakness thing. Just saying.
You got four answers to give. What are we thinking, people?
I'm gonna be honest. I think there's a good chance. We're gonna...
Literally have given like 3 potential answers I've thought of.
Oh, I thought Key was actually asking like, is it just the fundamentals?
Oh, I
I
don't
was
know.
waiting.
Maybe.
I don't know if he's actually saying okay. Okay, so he's actually asking, is it just the fundamentals? Now, are you saying that like as an answer or just to the figure? To the figure.
He does not give a response. Doesn't necessarily mean if it's positive or negative, just means he does not respond. I think Chasten's
So do you-
Googling it.
Has anyone tried just breaking the chains physically? Have we tried that yet?
Nope. You have not.
Did we see what happened in the vision if someone touched the chains?
Nope. You did not.
Okay, we have to answer. We have to have answers. I'll ask the figure, what's the question?
Vormorn is asking what the question is.
Yeah.
He continues again. When I first took my sword to battle, I had only stood upon this molten rock for a millennia. I learned the truth.
Not a question. That is a statement.
As you interrupt, he stops talking. As you walk over to the chain, as you try to grab hold of it, you notice that your hands kind of phase through it.
Ah, good thinking, Key. I was going to do the same. Is the sword solid is a real question.
Would you like to touch the sword?
Well, you literally just said it was cloaked in like a high-level booming blade, so out of character, I'm thinking that's like the dumbest idea.
Well, I said his sword that he's holding in the projected image
not
is...
Yeah, can I just like Sigrun reach out to like touch the sword, not to like grab it, just like run a hoof finger along it.
Yeah, as you do, it's solid. It kind of moves slightly away from you after you kind of poke it and run your finger up it. It seems to move away
It's
slightly, as if kind of
Nice
moving in the floating, as it's kind of floating amongst these chains holding it up.
The sword can move Guys, this changes everything.
I'll get close
Does
to the
it?
sword. Okay, you get closer to the sword. It's from what you can tell, it seems to be some sort of two-handed sword, maybe a great sword. The size is kind of rough looking. It's got written down the center of it. It says shaped by weakness down the blade.
Sword, blade, is the question we seek what's written upon you. I assume the sword does not answer.
The sword does not answer.
Because I think
Every time I talk to something, it doesn't do anything, and then I turn around and it does something. I'm starting to see a pattern.
you know, you should ask it when your back is turned to it. Maybe it'll answer.
Okay.
Key, when you move your hand to the handle, you're able to grasp it. There's no issue. You can't seem to move it, as you notice the object almost feels like it's being held in place by an invisible force. But yeah, you can grab hold of it.
It is chained up. I don't think we're gonna be able to pull it out. Or if you want to try, Sigrun's down. I don't think I'd also, I think you need to spell. I think you need to spell magic for something like the chains, because it's not an active spell.
That hasn't been casted. I don't think it has anything to do with what is being talked about right now.
Have we? So there's like just a bunch of trees in the forest and stuff, right?
Correct.
Did you say earlier Key already investigated the trees?
Yeah, and
for
found no creatures, no sounds coming from it. The trees were
Did
real;
she-
they were solid. Yeah, the Key did pass this on to the party.
Did she look at the ground, or did she just look at the trees?
She looked around the room and kind of followed the outside of it just to see what it was, and seemed to find anything suspicious.
Maybe we need to dig into the earth, and there we'll
what?
find answers.
That seems like a stretch, Sigrun.
Or I guess more, we need the question.
Wow.
I don't
Good
know.
idea.
Where do cryptic people keep their questions? I'd assume not in the open.
You
I
see the
in
figure
box.
points to the sword.
The sword already ignored me. I asked it and it didn't reply.
Sword, what is... Sword of the pond. Give me your...
Can I intimidate the sword into answering?
Yeah, roll intimidation, and what are you gonna say?
Okay, so I think Sigrun's gonna get close and just be like, listen here, you fucking sword. I know for a fact everything in this fucking place is magical. It's giving me a headache. If you give me a fucking answer, or give me a question I can answer, I'll get you out of the chains and you could be free. But I need you to work with me because nothing's fucking working with me in this place. And I know you're magical. My friend said you were.
No, I'll be honest, that sounds like begging.
I got it. Hey, listen though, I got a 22 total. Well, also the way she says it might be begging, but she is saying it with like clear frustration, like
Oh
threat in her
God, please
voice.
help me.
The projection smiles and laughs and goes, "The blade is not sentient."
That is what you would say, isn't it?
Alright. So...
How do we make a sword sentient?
Key, as you walk into the forest, you walk about 3 trees deep and then find yourself back on the other side, coming back into the clearing.
Have
Whether
we
it's-
tried chopping a tree down? Maybe that'll help.
I have a question I really want to ask. It will not help with the riddle. I'm just really curious.
Uh-huh. Sure.
You seem really nice, so why is your trap and room so cruel compared to the others?
You see suddenly a kind of furrowing of the brows of this gentleman, and kind of takes a second and kind of smiles and goes, "Okay." And you suddenly see as the sword starts to kind of change slightly. It changes from being this larger sword to this horrendous-looking demon. I need everyone to make a wisdom and a con save.
Holy shit! That's
Oh,
up there. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you
I
pissed
thought
him
questions
off.
were cool. All right.
Wait, so the sword was sentient! I fucking knew it!
I don't think
he
it's
just
sword.
changed it. It wasn't
No,
sentient.
no,
He just
no.
changed it.
No, it was definitely there
14.
the whole time.
Oh yeah.
24, okay. Damn, that wisdom,
Nice.
Vormorn.
Yeah, I know, right? All right.
Key, alright.
Oh,
Wisdom is...
fucking God.
Key rolled
Just
terribly.
Remember, you folks get a +3 from me.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. So 17 and
Um,
27. All right.
Hang on.
24 and 22.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, so I got a 10 for my wisdom save, as per usual, and then I got a 17 for my con. I rolled absolute dog.
So you've all failed the con check, but Sigrun's the only one who fails the intimidation check from this creature. Sigrun, you for the
'Cause I'm
first
not
time
raging.
in your livelihood feel fear of a creature that is horrendously violent and evil. This isn't like, oh, I'm a raider or I'm a soldier who's just killed thousands of people. This is something that is the amalgamation of killing and death. You look
you're
onto this.
real!
The rest of you start vomiting profusely as Sigrun kind of backs up.
Yeah, she like jumps away from the sword she was just trying to intimidate because she thinks the sword is like retaliating.
Well, does she not
you-
also suffer from the conf?
Who?
I got a 17 con save.
Yeah, everyone does. Everyone failed. So
Oh.
as you all will start violently vomiting, you take 10 points of damage outright as this imagery of this creature seems to kind of
What?
enclose itself back into a sword, and he just kind of smiles and goes back to standing there.
What
Alright.
type of
Understandable.
damage?
Just 10 flat damage. There isn't a damage
Okay.
type. Yep.
Okay, I was just checking.
There goes lunch. Yeah.
Guys, the sword is evil and it is alive.
I don't think he likes having his personality questioned. Ow.
Would you?
He smiles back at you, Durali, and begins to speak, almost kind of like robotically as he looks at you and goes, "The sword, that is what the sword truly is. You asked a question, I gave you the answer you seeked."
Fair enough. Okay.
And you
I guess
all
I
thought
did get it,
I
Lord
was
Lord.
the dumb one, but
I mean,
here
just
we
be-
are.
I mean, that doesn't mean it's sentient.
Sigrun giving the side eye to the sword.
Literally a fucking demon
That
of
doesn't
evil and
make
darkness.
it sentient.
Okay, how is something a demon and not sentient? How is it
What?
alive and can hurt
There
us
is
and not
spells.
sentient?
There are spells to make creatures that look living that aren't actually sentient.
I think you're all just in denial.
Listen,
I've seen people use spells like that before. What do you
And
mean?
you know
Rats
what?
aren't
Your
sentient.
denial is a thing shaped by weakness, so maybe I should tell the sword that's our answer.
You know what?
is
Fine.
it?
Fine. I'm gonna ask him a question here to get all this. Are you honest about all of your answers you've given so far? I'll ask the projection.
I mean, if he says yes, he could still be lying.
The projection kind of stops and looks for a moment over at Sigrun and goes, "Unfortunately, I cannot lie. I do not contain enough of the soul of the original to come up with an imaginative
Oh.
story."
It is okay. I also cannot lie good.
Well, that's a 20 in insight. As it picks up that you were telling the truth, Sigrun, and the projection nods.
Well, Sigrun has a -1 to deception. She's like straight up, she can't lie well. That was just a straight up like, yeah,
Alright,
me
let's-
too.
Let's go back to let's get back to it. Okay. What did he? If I remember correctly, just a few seconds ago, he was talking about when he was like, where the question was, he pointed to the sword.
Which is a demon.
which is shaped by weakness, that has been inscribed on it.
So I'm assuming the 4 answers are things shaped by weakness.
I would have to say, I feel like that's the direction we're going towards.
That demon that just appeared, DM, you described it as like a being of pure evil, correct? Like that's why
Yes,
Sigrun
you
was intimidated?
couldn't. None of you could look onto a solid frame. To each of you, it looked like an amalgamation of just horrendous imagery that flashed before your
So
eyes.
do we think maybe the things shaped by weakness are different forms of evil? So like
Lucius kind
shit
of
like greed
hearing
or
that
something?
thought process is going to cast on himself. I believe he has detect good and evil because he has something for Fae Fiend Undead.
I was gonna say maybe it's
Oh.
he's asking us for like the 7 deadly sins right now.
There's only 4, not enough chance.
He is going to give a perception check to see if he can figure out if he
He
smells
has
any
the
sort
other
of
3.
fiends. Lucius just looks at you and shakes his head, saying that there are no Fae Fiend or Undead in the room currently.
Out of
It's
the,
incomprehensible horror.
I'm really considering asking him if the sword is that evil thing actually is. Why would we want it? I don't know if I want to ask it or not, though, after what happened with my last question.
Out of character, I'm thinking the sword demon creature isn't so much the sword as it is him. You were like, how come you look so kind, but your thing's the cruelest? And then he literally showed us a being of pure evil. I think that was like just him and his influence. In character, Sigrun just thinks the sword's evil. And sentient.
It's not sentient, god damn it.
She thinks that!
Key asks Stumpy what do you think got any input. Stumpy, do you want to add anything?
Stumpy's been thinking about it. He's got nothing to add.
All right.
Is that Stumpy or is that Wolf? Is that Wolf not wanting to answer?
I think it's Stumpy. I'm gonna put it that. I think it's
Stumpy, agree with me here. You seem like the type. Yeah, some of the first things you learn is like you learned fighting, right? That was one of the first things you learned. Yes.
Okay, what is the weakest thing a professional caster can do that is related to their profession?
I don't fucking know.
Spells. What spells?
Invitation.
Spells. I know spells. There's
Look, I am.
Fireball. I've
What?
seen
Light spell?
counter spell. Predisposition. That's
I would
a spell.
assume a cantrip would be one of the weakest things a caster can cast. But as they get stronger, you know, it gets some of their cantrips do grow. But
From the weakest to the strongest. Does he specialize in cantrips? Wait.
you know what? The booming blade is a cantrip.
That would be strange.
Yeah, but I said cantrips earlier. I didn't get a yes or no. I got ignore.
I didn't hear you say cantrips.
I said it
Maybe
when both asked about the weakest thing the first time. I was like, yeah, cantrips, and no one said anything. I was like, okay.
I know. I mean I didn't like enforce it, but I said cantrips too. Hey, who want all in on the cantrip being one of the answers?
Just in character, before anyone answers, and before we get killed, Sigrun will enter rage. Just like when the answer gets said, she'll enter a
It is
rage.
sentient, damn it!
Alright, go ahead. Answer the question. God damn it. Maybe Sigrun will live before wrong.
No, well, that's the hope. Is like, if we answer cantrips, get it wrong, me being enraged might allow me to somehow survive this. That's why I'm saying it now. Out of character, cantrips, I guess, is a good thing as any. I still feel like impatience is a pretty shitty thing for a wizard to have. But Wolf specifically said weakest, like, spells, so...
Lock it in.
Durali, you're kind of like the
No,
party leader, right?
no, we don't have a party
Yes.
leader.
All
Yeah, I
right,
mean,
who-
this
who-
is your mission.
No,
You told us to come here for your stuff. I feel like it's only fair.
I think you spelt that wrong, Caleb.
Cab trip. A cab from New York appears in the room. Hey, are you gonna get in or what? There's a rat folk driver.
it's a really slow transportation cab trip.
Is cantrip an answer you're gonna give?
Yeah,
I guess.
And I'll enter my rage as it said.
yeah.
I'll give Key and Logalthus a moment to or not Log, sorry, Stumpy to speak
Logalthus,
up.
wait.
Logalthus has been in the room this whole time. He is Stumpy.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Me neither.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Oh, that laugh.
I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
None of his characters are who they say they are, so.
His last 3 characters have all been tied to Log. Thank you.
I have complete and utter faith in Wolf.
You do?
Hmm.
No,
Sure?
No, I usually do too.
You positive?
Cook, roll deception.
yes,
Because I've misled and betrayed you so many times.
you have.
Roll persuasion.
Yet I do it in your campaign, Wolf, and no one ever listens to me.
All right. I'll cast a cantrip at the chains.
Which cantrip?
Oh.
Just a fucking booming blade.
You watch as one of the chains snaps.
I thought we had to speak answers.
Oh, it's this kind of answering. Okay.
Hmm.
No,
Oh, do we have to go up from here? Do we think it's the first
Let's see.
level next?
I don't think that's the case. I think we have to find what the next thing we're answering is.
Raleigh, is there anything specific about each chain? Like, besides it being magical chains, are there any runes on the chains?
DM, do they
Nope.
all look the same?
They all look the same.
I just shake my head.
Maybe that's 4 cantrips.
They're all the same.
They're all booming blade.
Every single one. Just, that,
Mhm.
I wish, but I don't think so. No, that'd be the greatest way for DM to mess with us. It's just it's the same answer 4 times.
We wouldn't expect it.
How many full casting classes are there?
Wizard.
Sorcerer,
Sorcerer.
Wizard, Warlock.
And cleric, right?
Cleric.
Yeah.
Druids
those-
aren't full casters, are they?
Yeah, druids are.
I don't
Okay.
think warlocks. Do warlocks count as full casters?
They do.
Yeah, they are. They
Right?
definitely
That's what I
are.
thought.
It's
So
just
Okay. I
There's
was-
more than-
I was
more-
attempting to correlate the amount of chains to full casters.
No, there's
So,
two.
yeah.
real
yeah.
question is how many types of casters existed when this guy did? Probably not all of them.
There were no classes though.
Exactly.
While you contemplate, I'm gonna grab some water real quick.
Oh yeah.
You got this. I believe in you.
I don't.
Guys, it was a physical response. I was thinking of words. Like it has been like almost every other puzzle.
Well, we did see in the flashback of Lucius the first time.
Uh,
Wolves did snap.
Key touches hold of one of the chains
Oh.
and it snaps.
What?
Hmm.
Yeah. You just read the
Cantrips.
chat.
He cast light, which is a cantrip, on chain. It snaps. So I think there's just 4 different cantrips. I'm dubious that it's gonna be that easy. I feel like either more chains are gonna appear or something's gonna happen when we do 4 cantrips, but it seems to be working.
You know, have you ever thought that? I mean, I know there's 4 answers, and I know there's 4 chains. What if we're not?
As you do, the third one snaps, Key.
What if
I was
we're
gonna
not
say-
supposed to break the chains?
Yeah, what if the demon guy comes out and it becomes a combat challenge?
I mean, I know the last one,
Can-
like in the vision.
Kid Sigrun, look at the
Yes,
guy.
We know there's one left.
can Sigrun look at the guy and be like, just a question. When we break this final chain, are we gonna have to fight the thing it was, the thing it is?
He just stands
As
there
she's like
staring.
pulling out her axe.
He just stands there staring off into the distance.
That is. See, I
Is-
told you, cryptic, cryptic.
Is our goal to break all the chains?
When I first took my sword to battle, I'd only stood upon his molten rock for millennia.
Molten rock, guys, we need to burn.
Would
the
you like me to
ground.
keep
We
going,
need to
or-
make molten.
Are you just winging into the final sentence that says to break all 4 chains, DM?
No, I'm just reading out what it states, what he stated in the beginning. I can read it again. Pardon me.
Just give answers to not a question. Understood.
Alright, the last chain snaps. And you
I
see as the
am
door
ready, by the
opens
way.
up behind the translucent projection, and he smiles and nods to Key and looks over at Stumpy and kind of just gives a slight wink to him and kind of holds his hand out, ushering you off through the door.
How did the previous guys fail that? They had 3 of 4. What did they
They
do?
casted 3 cantrips and then we're like, oh, it's
Wait.
gotta be good.
Let me take a minute. What classes existed when he was there? Oh, Stumpy just gave us the answer and showed us the answer? Oh, that can't be right for the other 3 chains. Let's figure it out. Does it ring a bell there, Vormorn, as you were just talking about this like 2 minutes ago?
No, not at all.
Okay. Alright. As you...
Pissed.
As you walk through, you hear a slight chuckle from the gentleman as he stands there,
Shit.
watching you each walk by. As you do start to leave Sigrun, you can feel the presence of that figure from that sword eerily right behind you for a mere moment before you walk through the door and it disappears.
fucking hate this place. I fucking hate this place. I'm gonna throw this fucking place to the ground. I'm going to tear every fucking brick in this place.
Alright.
She's just like gripping her axe in rage, just cursing under her breath.
Let me go and find the doors real quick, where I listed them last. There it is.
Yes, I'll write the answer down to that one.
Probably a good idea.
Alright, there's one more that we're actually able to go through, right? Before the others open up, or?
No, you
Nope.
only have,
I thought there was that orb one that we had to do.
We already did it.
they did Narrows last week, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys did that. Oh,
Yep,
okay.
we pondered the orb. It was terrible.
Yeah. I don't.
See, I assumed that you guys just stopped immediately, like you didn't even do session.
No, we did a bunch of
No,
rings, just
we
ignored
did
the first one.
everything but this one. 'Cause that was supposed
So,
to be the
yeah,
most
Hunter.
difficult, deadly.
When we came out, the dragon doors had opened, so we did those and we did Narrows. Well, 2 of the 3 dragon doors opened, because I believe we still haven't done him,
Correct.
who is
That's
also a dragon.
as I just listed. So as you walk out into the room, you see the other doors have completely turned to stone at this point. The statues having cracked above them of the ones you've completed and seem to have slightly changed over time. The first son now showing him reading from a arcane grimoire as you see floating letters kind of designed into the marble above it as different cantrip spells that you recognize that Key had been casting and that Stumpy had cast. The 3 other doors that were left, Himkins, Urist, the Blackened Pure, and Blood's End all stand open now with their eyes now glowing and
Oh.
following you.
We have the green dragon, the good side of the fucking the old High King, and the necromancer, the lich. The
If
first-
I'm correct, Stumpy really had an ire for the dragons, right?
Yeah, that's why we did the 2 dragons last time, because he wanted to do them first.
So do we want to do the green
As
dragon?
I will say, with the passive perception of Key, you do notice that the door you guys came in from is now slightly ajar.
So the door that we just left from the.
No, so as you come through, every time you come through a door, it looks like you're coming back in through the same doorway that you entered in when Trinitas ushered you lot through into this dungeon. So you come from the same area. This time, however, as you look back, whereas before you had all noticed that the doors had always been locked and were unable to be opened, as you look on, you see that the door is slightly ajar now, and you can see the hallway from Logolthus's stronghold.
Oh,
From
yeah,
my
this is
understanding,
okay.
we have an option to make now. If we keep going and do the dungeon, we will gain the right, from what DM has said, to become part of the 12 Mormons. Or we can leave and go save the world and do that part. But once we leave, we can never come back.
Probably because we already have given answers.
I don't know. From what DM just said, we're not allowed to re-enter this dungeon if we leave.
Well, don't you need to complete this dungeon for your stuff?
According
you
to
see-
DM, no.
Oh.
According to DM, I think the door opening was what the minimum I had to do. So it's just, do we want the reward from the dungeon proper, or do we want to leave? And run with the main
Okay.
I mean, we've already suffered this much.
I mean, yeah, we've gone this far. And what? There's
4 doors
left.
with the 13th door, the final, supposed to being the dungeon
There
proper,
is
after all the questions.
More door.
Yep, the 13th broken door.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that leads.
As you look about, Key, trying to see if you spot Stumpy, who's not hiding his presence this time, standing right next to you. But as you look about, no one is in the area or in the room that you can sense. You don't hear any strange faintness of breath. You don't hear any. Suddenly, you can. All right, go. All right. As you look about, though, you don't hear any sudden deep breaths or any breathing. No sudden footsteps. You can hear footsteps outside of the room. You can, with your roll, you can guesstimate roughly that this person is probably either some sort of human-like male wearing full plate based on the sounds you're hearing and recognizing it. It's a pretty safe assumption from your guesstimation that it's probably just a guard of some sort or someone who is walking around the area. But if you recall correctly, Trinitas had to open the door to let you in here last time, so... Alright. Stumpy, go ahead and roll your stealth for me.
That's not worrisome.
Yep, sorry, you vanish. Key doesn't seem to notice you disappear at all. No one does, in fact. Alright. No, as you all want to keep going, which of the doors would you like to try?
Alright, lads. Dragon, god, or lich? What's our choice? Also, when I read the lore, my understanding is the first 2 are some level of good aligned, and then there's Blood's End, which we don't know shit about.
I mean, death is kind of neutral, right?
Well, Hunter, we met Urist. But Blood's End, from our understanding, though, he's a lich. Most liches are evil because of how you have to become a lich.
True.
So, but, yeah, I don't know that much about Himkin. We've met Urist in Campaign Winter. Or at least I have, in a campaign that you were in.
As all three of you are as all of you are contemplating and standing there, all 3 of the doors kind of jet open. You can't see into the rooms, giving this strange black, mist, blockway, but all 3 seem to have expanded open completely.
Uh-huh.
Stumpy, for reference, is walking in front of Key and annoying them, that Key can't see them.
What?
Nice.
What?
Even with the passive.
Which
Yes, go ahead.
which statue looks the most fearsome?
So Himkin is depicted as, Actually, that's a good question. Hold up, I didn't expect that a question.
Well, I figure right now Sigrun's still in her rage. She's pissed about the room. She wants to she wants to find the toughest guy in the prison and go to that door.
So you see this giant dragonborn, almost the same size as the one you've heard stories of Sniknesh, being this like almost double to 3 times larger than a normal dragonborn you lot would be accustomed to. He looks to be kind of in what looks to be simple cloth, rough spun cloth that just covers enough and seems to have chains around his hands and feet. He's in a kneeling position and like almost looking up as if he's begging towards the skies, with his hands bound together. Next to him, Urus the Pure Black seems to look to be a cloaked figure with nothing but a long blackish beard that sticks out over or out of the hood and a bulbous nose. The rest of the face seems to be covered by this like unnatural shroud of darkness on the statue. The rest is seeming to be almost unremarkable. Again, just a very covered in shroud from the long cape-like object he's wearing. Robes that he's wearing. He carries a staff in one hand that has what looks to be a gnarled up skull of a humanoid that has been kind of busted and kind of patched together with different pieces of metal and gemstones and bones. As he kind of just stands there staring towards you lot.
I think Sigrun would go to him.
The last one just seems to be a dragonborn skeleton in loosely opened robes, sitting in a very comforting looking like throne, just kind of with a very strong like dragonborn skull staring off at you a lot. Overall, the doors do not shut, Key. You feel your magic does not go off.
If you want something fun to go on, Himkin was known for fighting with his own scales as weapons.
Yeah, Sigrun's going to Himkin's door.
Yeah, he fought with his own scales as a melee weapon of some kind.
She like stands in front of his door and just like cracks her neck and like makes eye contact with the statue.
It's true.
So up to the party whether they want to go with Sigrun's or want to go to something else, because we all have to agree.
It literally doesn't matter what order. We have to do them all, so it's as good a door as any.
Yeah, sure, why the hell not?
There's literally the order does not matter. We're gonna be stuck doing this room either first, middle, or last, so may as well do it now.
I'll give Key a moment. Alright, yep. So the agreement's in Himkins. Alright. As each of you slowly walks through the door, you no longer feel the wall of force suddenly appear behind you, and you watch as the door stays open. Behind you as you all walk in one after another. As you look upon the room opens up onto a battlefield strewn with bodies in every direction. Strange creatures that look like larger dragonborn with wings, small drakes and dragons, and lizard folk-like creatures all lay amongst the dead. 2 banners can be easily found as you look about. A gnarled-looking wooden dragon on a green background with a swamp-like depiction showing. And the second, a bright white background with a dark blue and furred dragon depicted on it, dark blue scaled. Both banners seem to depict the dragon coming at the center with mostly the head depicted. As you look around further, at the top of a pile of bodies shows Himkin as a dragonkin. Dragonkin, for reference, are semi-leaner dragonborn, but have dragon wings, and their skull is less large and more dragon-like in its shape, a lot more kind of noble-looking. Less lizard folk with its more crude, like pushed-in nose and all that. As a dragonkin with large wings, a strongman-like physique, and a weapon in each hand of an axe and a staff. Slowly as you watch, he seems to turn into a dragon and then fly away as the room around you morphs to show him leading his people into the sea as ruins of a city on a large mountain can be seen in the background. The city looks to be charred and in an odd shape, almost like it was made of large bones or bone-shaped stones. At the end of Himkin's speech, 3 items will suddenly appear in front of you all. A crown, a pair of shackles, and a dragon's hide. Don't worry, I will post all this here in a minute. Himkin, suddenly appearing on top of this pile, looks down at you all, coming in with Sigrun raging and the rest of you kind of sauntering in. He immediately, anger in his eyes, frothing slightly at the mouth with what looks to be a bloody spittle, wounds covering him up and down, begins to speak. Magic was filth, but filth made us strong. I, like the others, bowed to the dragons, believing them to be right, for only truly powerful beings could shape this world. So who was I to question that until the truth came to be known? My people were slaves, while those damn celestials served the dragons directly. We were nothing but throwaway toys to the creatures, and ranked even lower than the celestials. I would not stand for this, so I did what was needed. I led a rebellion and destroyed Blood's End. His castle fell, his undead abominations fell, and he would... He kind of stares off into the distance for a moment. As was required, as he continues. As was required of me, once we had shown our might to the dragons, they sent reinforcements in the forms of their celestial pets, though I may have sided with them later on. We did what was needed. I would cut them down in droves and finally lead my people to freedom beneath the waves. We stood strong and we endured, even to the end, even to my end. What would become of me? Rather, what would you have chosen if you were in my situation? Would you have put a crown to rule over the people, embraced the life of a second-rate slave, or become the protector of your people? Tell the truth, young ones, as the image fades away. And I will post that real quick. Oh.
Ooh,
I will post that
interesting.
once in a moment, as I have to do it in 2 messages.
Oh,
There you
too
go.
big.
Yup.
It happens to the best of us.
I have no comment towards that.
Well,
Why do I feel like this is a question for each individual?
Because he literally just asked each of
I
us
know
to tell
what
the
Drawley
truth.
would answer. I know her opinion because she's already done this before, but that's just her. I wouldn't want to be a slave, and I wouldn't want to lead either. Drawley hates leading people, but being a protector is nothing altogether. That's just Drawley's opinion.
I mean, I'm kind of in your same boat. I'm not exactly one to rule, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that soon because I'm trying to, get my house back.
I mean, Sigrun's literally just had a quest. I mean, didn't go as planned, but she literally just had a quest to free her people from slavery, and is making it her goal to protect them. So I feel like Sigrun's answer is pretty self-evident in her actions.
His wording seems like it's less what he thinks, more he wants to know what ours, because why else would he add tell the truth, the ones at the end?
Yeah.
It seems he's more asking for our opinion.
Like, validation on what he did.
I almost think, though, if we pick what doesn't agree with him,
Lucius is going to use his ability real quick to sense the room.
I mean, he literally asked, rather, what would you have chosen if you were in this situation?
Lucius comments and goes, there is no death in this room.
No one's ever died in here?
And he just nods.
So
Oh, hang on.
There's
3 items.
Wrong answer.
At the end of his speech, 3 items suddenly appear. A crown, a pair of shackles, and a dragon's hide.
Yeah, the 3 options, because he said that.
Yeah, I just, the crown being, rule,
The crown
shackle being the slavery, and the dragon's head, I assume, is
Oh,
becoming
I
the protector
thought
of your
the
people.
slavery and
Correct.
the crown answer were tied into one. Sorry, I was
no.
misreading the questions.
3 options.
Yes, I will say, I have given you in order the what they are to what the sigil means, or what the symbol means in a sense.
Okay.
So
Well, I know Drawley's opinion, if that's the case.
I mean, I'm
I won't grab it. Drawley will go stand in front of the dragon's hide.
Yeah, Sigrun will, still in the remnants of, her rage, as it's, reaching the 1 minute and she's letting it dissipate, goes in front of the dragon's hide, will, plant her axe and go, I am already a protector of my people. I need no crown, and I'll be damned if I be a slave. And, gives Himkin a nod.
I'll climb up on Sigrun's shoulder and just give her a nod.
Yeah, she like acknowledges you like choosing her same answer as well, like with respect.
Okay. So which one are you picking?
Dragon's Hide for us.
We're letting everyone pick their preference, but the two of us are standing in front of Dragon's Hide.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves Key, Stumpy, and Vormorn.
What, Chassa, was there anything in the lore about what happened to Himkin?
I don't
What
think so.
did
We know
become
that
of
he
him?
was the hero. He created the race known as the Deer Co. And he was more or less their hero for a long time.
For back
Although we know
reference,
he somehow got killed because of his own speech changes people.
The Deer Co are what Snicknesh was. Originally referred to as the Alpha Dragonborn. I later changed it to actually have a decent name. So the Deer Co are actually Vormorn and Sigrun and Key would recognize the name of Deer Co as a race. Deer Co being not only a Dragonborn, but unlike the Dragonborn familiar to Silencia being a more primitive and typically enslaved and bullied race, the Deer Co were a race that basically went undersea. And without rolling a history check, the general understanding is that they are one of the most technologically advanced races on the planet, and they have set up underwater cities. Yeah.
Didn't we?
I know Himkin has an entry in Gods and Realms.
You met some Deer Co when in the last Rejected
I was gonna
Potential.
say, in Rejected Potential, we went to the Deer Co's like underwater cities and stuff.
You went to a Sea Elf city. You just met Deer Co that were working with them. Yep.
Gotcha. But yeah.
Perhaps
I'm wondering,
back in the
though-
day, I would have wanted to rule, but
Yeah.
that is not the case anymore.
Here we go. He's
Yeah,
one
you
of the
changed
four
character.
gods. He's one of the four Deer Co gods of the Scales Church. Or at least he was
I
worshipped
do-
as. Obviously, we don't know if he was actually a god.
I wonder out of character if our choice here affects anything with Blood's End, because this guy literally sieged Blood's
He
End's
did
castle.
find Blood's End.
So I'm wondering if we choose to the Dragon Hide, like to agree if we're gonna have beef in the other room, but that's fine.
Okay, here we go. Here's Himkin's god entry, because it has his 12 energy says very little. The god of the warrior, they called him. Himkin was the dragon of fire and war. He was prayed to by the warrior caste and believed to be the original Zamokian warrior who brought the
Hell
race
yeah.
into the world. He's
Imagine
considered a
being one of the
legend.
12 lords.
What, Hunter?
Imagine being one of the 12 lords and being worshipped as a god.
He's heard.
I mean, the
gods.
wolf guy was the wolf guy was as
The
well.
wolf guy was. Urist was literally a god because he was an offshoot of another god.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's ironic that the groups of this group of people who hate the gods
Like at
are
least a third
sometimes.
were gods or worshipped as. Yeah.
Hey, it's when you're powerful enough, people start to worship you. Also, they could have secretly just been hypocrites.
I do want to remind you of the story of Zilpip, the man who hated gods, never wanted to become a god, became more worshipped than any other god I had in the world at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
More or less, Himkin's entry marks he's a very bloody and worshipped as a very bloody warrior.
Hell yeah, he has my respect.
So he less fighting because he wasn't worshipped by the hires of his race. He was worshipped by the warriors.
Lucius will stand in front of the Dragon's Hide as well.
Yeah.
Fuck
Dragon-
yeah, Lucius. Fuck yeah, Mormor. Sigrun acknowledges you both.
Key, what about you? Let's see if Key's still there.
The little turtle.
Imagine the turtle, the little friendly
Turtle
turtle
goes
who's a fangirl goes for the fucking crown of power,
They're like,
the
"I
ring
wanna
of
be king."
Sauron. I want to subjugate
Okay.
everyone.
Oh my god. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like, oh, I did not know about that part
I mean,
of
that
you.
sounds like a Monsters 5 fangirl if I've ever seen one.
That's true. Then again, I feel like she would accept being a second-rate slave for the Monstrous
You know
Five. So.
Hunter, I want to know if I'm wrong. I feel like the five would all split on different answers on this one.
Yeah.
that's true.
Don't threaten me this time, Hunter. Don't threaten me.
It was like Sigrun doesn't want to rule over everyone because that's not her thing, and
Yeah, he'll just-
Sigrun is anti being a slave, so there's only one option for her.
I know you're saying being a slave to the five, but please pick your answer of the three.
So, Because King likes to or wants to not only make the world a better place, but also because as she believes the Monsters 5 are doing that same thing, just in their own unique way. So she would stand in front of the monster or the Dragonhide.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Now,
Team
if I
Dragonhide.
but now, if I wanted to be like my heroes, I don't think I would.
Hey, you think they're good people. You don't think they would do that.
Yeah, it's like you're up. Listen, you're interpreting their work. It happens with all
As-
famous people.
As you pick the options and you each go stand in front of them, you watch as the door opens and Himkin just kind of nods and looking at each of you. You don't see Stumpy at all anywhere still, as he's still stealthed away. But as you all
Definitely in front of the crowd.
as you all watch and see him, he kind of gives a smile as you walk around the corpses and go through the door behind him that you hear click open.
So
Hell
Maya,
yeah, hell yeah.
it was simple.
Huh? Yeah.
I'm asking Maya if they liked that room because it was easy.
Oh yeah, that's exactly like this is definitely the kind of room Sigrun wanted. A cool, dope ass battle room where the answer was simple and she agreed with the person asking
Hey,
it.
you know what? Warrior knows warrior, right?
Exactly. That was her favorite room.
You guys want to know what's funny about the other two rooms, the two left?
Mm-hmm.
One, the god was known for being a necromancer, and the other's a witch. And
Do we want to go right to the Blood Ends guy who had
I
beef
think we
with
should do Blood
Himkin?
End next, just because.
Just for the
just
memes?
if the story
Yeah.
continues,
Yes,
All right.
That
As
was
you find
funny.
yourselves back in the central tower, yes, Sigrun, what's up?
I was just say it's funny that they worked together knowing their history.
Mm-hmm. As you walk through back into the main room, you see yet again the door is still ajar slightly. As you come back into the central tower, you see Blood's End's door and Urs the Black and Pure.
yeah, dude, we came this far. There's 2 rooms left.
Yeah. Hopefully they're all just multiple choice.
All right, you're going.
doubt
Easiest on test.
As you walk into Blood's End's door, am I understanding that the party wanted that one?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not hearing a say no, so I'll go with it. You see as you walk in, and the door does not shut at all yet again, staying wide open. The room seems simple in its design, with very basic stone walls, some shelves of books that have blank coverings, but are all treated with gold leaf bindings. The books float around alongside potions that manifest on the walls, as if eerily dancing to an unheard musical beat. However, what is noted, what to note is behind the chair, you see a robed skeleton dragonborn sitting in it. You see behind his chair is a old map of Kirkek showing the different countries and lands. Don't worry, I'll post that in a moment. He reads out. He begins speaking as the skeleton chair kind of rotates and turns around to face you all. Seeing this very small skeleton for a dragonborn. Even for a dragonborn, he looks to have slight wings curled up behind him that you can see through the robes and ribs that are poking out. And he begins to speak. I will not grant you some cryptic order or something about my past. None of you simple-minded fools who only seek glory or greed will understand the trials I have gone through. Instead, I offer you this. The item you seek is deep under the oceans, sealed away by us lords, and while the seal was broken, one of us still remains alive to this day. Well, alive so to speak. If Nero is prevented from returning or somehow killed, you may be able to travel to the depths of the underneath where the people once spoke, but now stand silent, if they stand at all. Figure out where this is, and I'll allow you to leave, or turn and leave now through the door you came. But know this, what we sealed down there, no one could stop. And I will post his thing. There will be no hints for this one, just as a heads up.
I am bad at geography.
I'm giving it. Don't worry, I'm going to post a map.
That was just Sigrun just looking at the map like, oh no. If it isn't Scrofey land, she's not gonna know jack shit.
Let's see.
None of you simple-minded fools. Well, at least he knows who he's working with.
Yes. And let me get us.
Only see glory or greed once in.
Well, good thing is I'm not here for glory or greed. I'm here for fear.
I was gonna say, literally, Sagoon's, I guess, kind of glory in a sense, but
Shit,
not.
I'm here because of you,
really.
Durali.
Yeah, I'm here to make sure the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sagoon is just here to help Durali. Friendship.
Yeah, I just realized the glitch in that first era that we said we're gonna fight Justin.
One of us still remains alive to this day. Do you see that, Justin? Do you see that line?
Yeah. Wait. I'm looking at the map. Why am I being called out for this?
Because I just made a joke about how Stumpy's like gonna be one of the lords in the room, and you said, "Oh, Urist is dead," and
So here's the thing, Maya. I'll tell you. So the character that met Urist was my old Friday character, Bargeras. You remember him, my little master swordsman. I was connected with him, and then I felt the connection snap, and DM outright told me he died because he tried to kill the old High King before we did.
he was brought back. I believe it. I believe in it.
He was also a pretty decent guy because I was told if I'd been a champion, I would have become a Paladin of Redemption.
Oh.
So he wasn't a
Gotcha.
bad.
All the seals broken when it still remains light as day. Well, alive, so to speak. So not really alive. Undead.
Is there like a Tarrasque under the ocean somewhere?
I was gonna say, wasn't that last campaign's whole fucking thing was the scary ass Tarrasque we had to deal with in the ocean?
I'm gonna give an outright question out to all you, just something to chew on. Because he says figure out a light leaf or turn and leave the door you came from. Would we be correct to just walk out?
But I think he means where we came from, like just giving up on the last two doors.
Yeah, I
like
think
he's
so.
telling us.
I had a funny thought.
I mean, it would be funny, but I do want the reward now. We've gone so far and tried so hard.
Oh, there's another 100 riddles. Don't worry in the dungeon.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
break them all.
The real trick is from now on the riddles will be all made by Wolf on his understanding of my world lore.
Okay, so it's.
So guys, I have a thought. Where people once spoke but now stands out if they stand at all. That sounds like undead to me, doesn't it?
I was gonna say.
And the guy in the room was the ruler of one of the lands of Big Shark map.
The land of Blood's End. Isn't
Yes,
that?
but is this not under the seas? Is this continent still up?
We don't know.
Yeah, so you can give me a history check, Gormorn, actually, if this continent is still up.
Yeah, let's see. Good roll. Let's get it.
History plus 0! 17!
Lucius, realizing that this may have to do with one of his, is going to also roll a history check just to see. Oh, well, he got a 19. So with a 17, anything that Lucius learns, he'll just tell you guys, just to kind of save that here. But from what you learned, Vormorn, is that supposedly the continent of Kerkek, along with all the other continents from the First Age, although no one has any maps of these that have been ever circulated, so this is more on hearsay and what history books read about. It is believed that each of the mainlands would change and adapt to form what the modern lands are today. However, that is a current belief or theory, as there have been shown of growth on the continents. However, there has been no proof of how they went from something like this, being one the simple designs they believe the continents would have taken way back when they were originally came out of the ground, or came out of the ocean, to what they are now. So, you would roughly know that. From what Lucius gets with 2 higher, he recalls seeing an ancient map that looked similar to this, but was a geographical version of it, and that it was stated that the island of Kerkek would eventually become end up split up into a lot of smaller islands that would get split between the two worlds.
Where is the island of Kerkek?
So on the main map, on the original map, it's not there. You're not going to find it. You can try a history check to see if you know any more, Sigrun, but you have to be a 19.
Even with a nat 20, I will get a -1 and 19, so...
Alright, then.
I'm trying to... Hang on, I need to go back to read his text. What did they the item you seek is deep under the ocean, so it can't be the Tarask. It's an item.
An item of some kind. An item from the first aid.
Sealed away from the lords, and the seal was broken.
Well, the Lord sealed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He also mentions Naro specifically.
And so, and Gnarl was the orb, right?
Naro was the
yeah.
orb.
So Naro, yes, you'll hear it as Naro, Nero. There are different spellings. He's one of the, and I give this one for free, given that Vormorn's a heli. You would know this. This is something that's taught to every single heli. Nero's one of your traditional gods in a sense of your people. He isn't very well worshipped, but he is a recognized god, just like amongst the Toth. The issue is that he has multiple names and is listed as the god of chaos most often. So, yeah, just keep that in mind.
We were also told a couple sessions ago that he supposedly, in an alternate timeline, basically tried to end the world, or would end the world.
Yeah, it's saying if he's prevented from returning or somehow killed, you may be able to travel the depths. So is the item tied to him?
Well, I'm gonna guess that the 12 Lords
He might be the guardian of it.
I think Nero's the only one that's technically still alive in a sense, so he's the only reason the seal's still holding.
Okay.
As you start to think this, Durali, you hear in your head suddenly Blood's End's voice go, "Yes, it is true that the rest of us have perished as of this time."
Alright, well,
Needle child that's underneath where people once spoke but now stand silent if they stand at all.
So it's where people once spoke. So it has to be one of these countries, right? Because
I think the undead theory.
The aquatic races weren't prevalent yet. They weren't.
Nope.
Unless it's where the Deerco are, the underwater people, but I don't know where they'd be on this map.
The Deerco, so you wouldn't know based on this map. Out of character, if it will help you solve this, I'll allow this. Out of character, I will mention that the land of Blood's End is mostly encompasses, as well as Mavasis, encompass the Deerco, as well as the different turtle races that were enslaved at this time period in their territories. They were a slave race, so they were not recognized as having their own territory. If you are wanting to specifically see all the maps of the First Age, because you really want to dig deep on this one, which you are welcome to, you can easily access it through that link.
Cool. I wasn't sure if we were allowed to.
You are more than welcome to use whatever resources you can. I did not put any requirements on whatever you guys wanted to do. You could ask Blood's End outright what the answer to his question is, though, if you feel the urge. It is fully up to your creativity and capabilities.
I mean, he did say figure out. He didn't say we can't ask it.
True.
I don't know if he'll be happy that we just ask, though.
You can insight him.
Acknowledge us as simple-minded fools.
Do any of us have a decent insight? I have a +1.
I have a +7 insight.
Lucius goes, I'm really good at insight. Lucius looks at Vormor and nods and says that the two of you have the roughly the same insight capabilities.
Okay, if someone just wants to ask the guy where it is, we'll see what he says. I don't think anything will go wrong.
Who wants to ask?
I mean, I ain't the smartest, sir, Mr. Blood's End. So I'll just ask, where is the item? To be fair, I really don't care for it. At least, since I don't know what it is.
He thinks for a minute and goes, I despise your people, but that's not your fault.
I despise my people, too.
Hush, that wasn't... I'm not trying to get any bond going between the two of us.
Please don't ask them with backtalk out of game. Don't get him even more mad.
He continues and goes, the place where the item sits currently, and all the information I will give you, is still a modern location that this riddle applies to. Beyond that, I don't give two shits on what you do. If you want this item, kill Nero, or make sure he doesn't come to the mortal plane. That's the same as killing him at this point in time, thanks to Logolthus' requirements.
question for you. You say the item is sealed in the depths. Is it in the ocean or is it underwater, under land?
With Lucius's insight, I just got 23. What'd you get, Vormorn?
Oh, allow me to roll that.
Yep. Say that question again, Sigrun, sorry?
16. That was almost a 20, too.
Okay.
Shit.
You said it is in the depths underneath. Is that in the ocean or is it in the depths under land?
Well, given the fact that land dissipates into water over time, I take a random shot in the dark as the simple-minded warthog that you are, that it's probably underwater at this point.
Warthog. I am unfamiliar with this.
What do
We used to
know
eat them.
of-
I believe they were your predecessors, as he looks on.
Pumbaa.
I'm getting a premonition. Something about
Oh.
Hakuma and Patata.
He, as you ask this, the creature turns and looks at you and goes, "You already have the answer."
Shit. Was it the answer to Naro's room?
You-
I don't think possibility is
Don't.
how to kill.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I was gonna say.
Alright, so my question is do we know what are the
Oh.
prominent underwater cities?
Before I answer that, Lucius, with his insight, catches that the Lich, while not the most talkative and may look down on you, probably hasn't had any visitors in a long time, given that he can't sense any bad things happening in this room, and assumes that the guy probably won't kill you outright.
I mean, people probably didn't survive to this point of the doors.
You had to get quite far for the door to even open.
Yep. And Hunter, what was your question?
My question was, what do we know of any prominent underwater structures and or cities?
You can give me a history check to see if you know anything.
I sure will. Let's try this again. That's a 7. Not so much a good luck this time around.
There are roughly 3 races that you know of that dominate the ocean and are recognized. Would have been both recognized back in this time and would be probably recognized, are still recognized even now. That would be the Deerco. There's Sea Elves, and there's one more that some refer to as Tritons. However, their term in their own language is too hard to understand. Theirs believe that they're the only 3 who have figured out how to build cities underwater, as described by one very famous Sea Elven adventurer that Vormorn would know. That once stated that the ships don't rest on the bottom of the ocean because if they did that, no one would ever access the surface. And that was the only comment that was ever survived of his legacy.
All right. And would I be wrong to assume, guys, that this might have to do with the Deerco, seeing as Hemkin was one of the Deerco as well?
Yeah, the Deerco also... Didn't they raid Blood's End, which is on the map?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
He
what
claimed he destroyed his race, but and then Himkin led off and did not say what he did to Blood's End or what happened to the man himself.
Yeah, I think... Maybe we should ask him about it.
Go
Ask him about the stuff that happened between him and Hemkin, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was it like working with Imkin? He told us he, messed with your shit a little bit.
Slaughtered his people.
He kind of turns, and Estrella has that little comment. You see a slight smugness that the skeletons, the bones start to crack from, and he goes, "Simpled language, I see, is your respectable capabilities. Okay.
Went his best.
Yes, Himkin and I had a disagreement. However, his attack was very useful for our distraction. I was being pressed on all sides by dragons, giants, and slaves. I needed an out, and, well, I let the Deerco rise up, thinking that they got the better of me and killed my abominations, in which case I just used it to leave without anybody noticing.
Oh,
Eh,
I bet he was
however-
salty about that.
I think you misunderstand something. We 12 lords don't work together. We 12 lords are 12 figures who came together to stop the Beyond Gods from destroying, well, the world. As one of my cohorts, the one you haven't opened the door of yet or gone to speak to, can better explain, as he was at the center of more of it. What we achieved and what we did was more 12 adventurers, all doing their own quests, if you will. Some of us may have worked together. Most of us never spoke to each other. It was, in a sense, more of an accidental goal that would come together under Rotnavengi, and her request to seek us out. Many of us believe it's due to Nero's influence, but Ernst has a different theory.
Naro claimed he was the first lord. And the last. Whatever
Nero
that
has
means.
an ego the size even Thief couldn't comprehend.
I noticed.
Yes. Oh, is it because... Did he say he's the last lord because he's technically alive? That makes sense.
He's not
Probably.
technically alive. He's sealed. His essence is can never make it into the mortal plane unless someone does a dark ritual and basically summons up enough of a lifespan and magic to equate to his power, even at the lowest form. And you'd have to invade an island and with an entire army of like hundreds of thousands of souls to do something of that sort.
What
Durali
island?
thought-
Put on the map. Could you put on the map what island?
I think I figured something out, guys.
Durali pauses and slowly turns and looks at Bloods and says, "Oh no."
But there hasn't been a force capable of doing that in millennia.
Naro's in Abaddon, huh?
It's happening right now. Oh no. Oh no.
He kind of looks at you and goes, "It would be impossible. You'd have to have hundreds of thousands of souls captured. I mean, the souls themselves would have to be captured in soul stones, and the amount isn't even capable for most smiths in your time period. There's only 3 that should be still alive at this time. 4 if you count the one in here.
Tapping the Toth and Soul Stones right now.
Sounds like yours more." He looks over to Sigrun and goes, "I believe your people say fucked."
I mean, we would say it as, and then she speaks in giant. Fuck. Yes.
He smiles, and the skeleton kind of cracks and goes, "That explains why you are here, and explains why you're favored by a Beyond God."
Am I? She looks perplexed.
Zarius!
He goes, "Yes, you and the tiny cat."
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
All right, because you have a mission from yes.
Well,
Yeah, find the last well, it's supposed to come here and then find the last end of the Beyond God to stop the others from destroying everything.
Blood's End just completely casts silence on the room for a moment to stop you talking, and kind of turns and looks at you, Darling, and goes, You have a Beyond God." He pauses as he holds his finger up for a moment. "That asked you to find the last object to become a Beyond God."
Durali shrugs. She really doesn't know what's going on anymore.
"That's the item that's sealed by..." And he starts laughing horrendously throughout the entire, shaking the tower as he kind of goes to a calm after a few moments. And he kind of stops and goes, "Your friend, the giant talking warthog said it best in Giant."
Through nods her head wisely.
Oh, it's fucking destruction and thieves trying to destroy the world. I can't get a break.
So, out of character, where do we think this bad boy is? I'm half tempted to have Sigrun just point to Blood's End's place. I am bad with geography. Or would it be absurd? No, because the 12 Lord Alliance place.
I was like, we just
probably.
talked about the 12 Lord Alliance up at the
Yeah,
I was
I was
gonna
like,
Would all the people? It says the people now spoke stand silent and still if they stand
Because
at all. Would that include
if I
statues of
was-
them?
If I was going to steal something immensely powerful, and I didn't want to be messed with, I would put it in the middle of land I control.
With all my buddies who also
Who
are
also
protecting
don't want
it.
it.
well,
to
yeah, you know,
move.
my question is, if a lot of them didn't talk to one another or work together, why is there a 12 Lord Alliance?
Land, yeah.
You could ask him. That's certainly a question to ask this man.
Yeah,
Sigrun wouldn't think of it, but yeah.
Sir, you said that a lot of you did not communicate, talk, work with one another. Can you tell us a story about this 12 Lord Alliance chunk of land here?
Have you... It kind of takes a minute, and you suddenly feel magic all around you all. Everyone can give me a wisdom save. The DC is 55, so if you can't make that...
Yeah, alright.
Don't worry, I'll roll my D100 real quick.
Listen, you are dealing with a creature who is very powerful.
Hang
Not
on,
all
wait.
creatures are going to be based on 5e rules.
I got an 80. I got an 80 on my D100. I'm good. Don't worry.
Alright, you
guys.
semi-resist as he is going to roll to cast higher.
No.
But no.
Wait,
10
wait.
D100s.
Hang on. It's a 50. How much?
55.
I can not reach that, but
Okay.
I could get semi-close, which is
If you
impressive.
said you could, I was about to be very
Not
concerned.
to the wisdom save, but if I did an ability, I could get near it, but I still wouldn't succeed.
Either way, we're all caught in it.
You all feel your minds kind of like scanned as if your memories are being kind of looked through by this creature.
Oh.
And then for a moment he comes back and he kind of begins to speak again and he goes, think of yourselves currently, a group of adventurers that are not necessarily aligned in a single goal. One of you wishes to restore his family's honor, another to protect her people, one who's here just for the chance to become all-powerful, another who seeks the truth to what they love, and the last who's truly been bamboozled by every single powerful being that they could be. As he kind of looks at Durali with a slight shift of his head.
I flip him.
What'd you say, Durali?
I said I flip him the bird.
As he kind of turns back to the rest of the general group, he looks about and goes, you have all come together to serve a single purpose now. Not because you want to, but because you have to. Similar in the sense that Zilpip and these time fuckers, this Grim Legacy, Amateur Hour, the Black Hair Company, and a few other lesser-known adventuring parties have all done so far, such as the Halcard Company, have all shifted the history and the timelines to go down this path. We beings who are powerful enough to understand what fate had in front of us, we came together realizing we were linked, not out of kindness or love for the world or universe, but out of a hatred for our place to store things being taken away. And he kind of smiles at that, to put it in a simpler term.
Suru nods along.
However, some of us were powerful enough to create their own legacies, if you will, their own spaces. And those who managed went to another world and got away from it. Those who were less fated found themselves in the middle of it and split. But we came together out of a hatred for those who controlled and pulled the strings, just like many of you do.
Are we allowed to touch the map?
You may touch anything in this room. However, if any of you decides to touch me, I will use one of these bones and what's left of my magic to completely eviscerate you.
Durali slowly lowers her hand. She was slowly.
I didn't plan to, and I leaned down at Durali. I was kind of tempted.
You suddenly hear in your head, in giant, I can hear everything in this tower.
Oh, that is impressive.
No, no, it is not. Just like I can smell the musk of a god on you.
You saw all our memories then, eh? What did what?
I am
Was
not-
that- was that-
You see, suddenly silence is cast over Sigrun's head.
As Sigrun's still talking, but as she's doing this, she wants to pick up the map, and if there's a source of light in the tower, she's holding it up to see if she could see like faint hidden outlines on it.
Oh.
Sort of like an invisible ink type thing, but I don't know if she would know what that is.
Is this a treasure map?
You find a modern map on the background of it.
I flipped it
And
over.
you, as you flip it over and look, now with the light shining through it, can see that what looks to be Krakek broke into 3 separate pieces. One of which shattered into smaller islands, as you see like arrows drawn over to them, which are kind of east of the Helli's southern territories, their main empire. You see the Isle of Man, and then the last one is you see the very large, the continent's known as Armenia, however, better now declared as Welf's Kingdom of Orcs. So,
Yes.
formerly the Storming Empire.
Yes.
But our item is underwater.
Yeah, so he points to all 3, or their arrows pointing to all 3 as potential places where Krakek split into.
Guys. Oh, I guess the Sigrun still has silence on her, so she's just excitedly talking to everyone, but her mouth's moving, but no sound's coming out, and she's just like pointing rapidly.
The spell,
like, the arrows
the
and
spell
stuff.
dissipates suddenly.
So look, the place, the thing, look, there was, I knew it. I saw the tower and I was like, this is a guy who keeps secrets. Doesn't want to be touched, he keeps secrets, and look, there's secrets.
Okay.
Huh?
Awesome, but none of the 3 are underwater.
He said earlier, you go deep enough in land, it becomes water. We just...
Yeah.
I thought you would be more excited about this.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, it's going to be in one of those areas, probably around them. Probably not on the direct.
Actually, Royce, would Sigrun know about those islands east of the Southern Hellilands, because that's kind of her area of the world?
Yeah, roll a history check with advantage.
History check, you said?
Yeah, history check with advantage.
Hell yeah. And that was a fucking accident. Alright, second roll. So that will be a 12.
So, thankfully, you don't have to roll high to know this one, as these are very familiar waters to you. Yes, the lands that you're familiar with that are east are held by a multitude of races. The Hylonas, which are a frog-like people, a Florida man-like people, that is one of Chasten's personal favorite races of mine that I have not put in the world as a playable race yet. They used to be called the Salmorians. I don't know what they're called off the top of my head now, but they are a brute-forced crocodile-like people who hunt the waters through advanced medicine like steroids. And they use that to enhance themselves in an organic way. In a sense, think of perfect genetics, but mix that with crocodile-like genes and the intelligence to match most of the top heli.
Shaman crocodiles.
Yeah, they're like the druid barbarian like core of my world.
Oh, hell yeah. Sigrun wants to go there.
Sigrun would know that these Salmorians are like the one race that the Scrofe avoid at all costs because they are proficient hunters at everything they run into. In a sense, think a culture like Predator. They weed out the weak very early on, and they perfect their hunting techniques to a fine art.
High respect, but also some fear there.
Yup. There
So we're talking about,
are.
like, these are the Spartans of your world.
Yeah. They're one of the most dangerous races and most unbalanced, which is why they're not currently playable.
Give.
Hand it over to the Florida men.
Let me see if I can find the rest of the map. It's been a little bit. It's Olympia.
Is it totally fair that the Florida men get to play the Florida race?
I want to
If
play as
Sigrun
Crocodile.
dies, she needs to be brought back as one of them.
Our character's name will be Bubba and Cooter.
What?
You heard the man.
That's give me a minute.
A reference, you wouldn't understand.
You know, you're not wrong. Let me see if I can get my, oh, yes. And then the last one are the the Technocrancy Ogres, who basically are, giant orcs, but super intelligent, and super religious. So think a theocracy, who have set up in temples all along these islands.
They were one of the people that we had in line for a choice for first age for Sunday.
Yep. Those are the three that are known to be in those lands. They are known as some of the three most extraordinary races of the Incremian territories. Because unlike the rest of the races who are normal or have downsides, these three seem to all have mostly upsides. The Hylonias specifically, which, are, give me a minute, it's been a little while since I've had to read about these guys. Basically, a very tribal-like people who are known for riding giant monsters into battle for the most part. But they're also known as very backwards, as in their technology level is still in the Stone Age.
Dang.
So there you go.
So would Sigrun have heard any rumors for any of these races having like something magical and profound buried under their soil or water, whatever? Like of them guarding something.
The ogres worship the great ogre in the sky.
Frick.
The golden frog.
Yeah, the Gronians don't really have a god, to be honest. They are, again, very tribal. And the Salmorians kind of focus their own stuff. They're the most technologically advanced, which would give hint that there might be some sort of involvement with that. But the Salmorians have been never known to be magic casters. So for the most part, besides their druids. So otherwise, you're not going to run into Mitch there. None of them stick out other than the fact that the three are a strange group of races that seem to have been, unlike the rest of the world that's advanced in a specific way, normal to Silencia, just with less focus on magic. They are the only three that are all in a very different variety of governments and how the people act. Their cultures are drastically different.
Is there a point equally in the middle of these three races' lands? Like, is there like a center that they are around?
So let me pull up my map real quick.
Just curious if there's like a spot in the middle Sigrun can just point at vaguely.
I was also curious about which parts of this continent became the... Because I can only assume, like, the Fire Giant clans be that portion of land, and maybe a few of the surroundings became the Isle of Man.
It's hard to tell. This map, from what you can tell on the back of it, the design is ancient. Like, this is over 7,000 years old. This is not... this is a piece that most historians would cry to have, like, would give anything to have. So, and given Vormorn is not experienced enough with geography, he wouldn't have any clear understanding how much of a drastic change 7,000 plus years could do to a continent.
Yeah, that's fair, but we do know that the Fire Giants were in the Isle of Man.
Yes. Well, they were on... Yeah, that's true. Also... just to real quick answer for Sigrun's perspective, yes, there is a central island to the cluster that is listed for the most part or as a Salmorian territory.
Sigrun's gonna look at our lich buddy in the room and be like, "Do I only get one answer?"
He just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
I'm going to take that as this is a guess until I'm right situation, which is often how most of things go for me. Here, and she points at that center island.
He just kind of looks at you and goes, okay.
Is that yes? Am I correct?
He just kind of looks at you, and then you hear the creaking of the bones as the body kind of shifts, and he kind of leans behind himself to look behind his chair, and he sees the door still closed, and again, over dramatically, slowly leaning back in, creaking every bone. It kind of goes back to stop, and waits for a few seconds as quiet kind of goes on the room, and he goes, apparently not.
You know, it's kind of like
Well,
ASMR if you think about
certain
it.
it worked. Sigrun, who is completely tone deaf, does not pick up. She just thinks he's very old and slow.
They fucking show him looking at the still closed door.
Perhaps
Okay,
it's
guys, it's
in,
not the center island.
maybe within. I know the fire giants also had a large distaste towards the gods, as the 12 lords did.
Ooh, what part of the modern continent was the 12 Lords' land? Can we tell? Like, what land
Well, isn't that where we currently are?
Yeah, so supposedly this castle was the only recorded territory of the Alliance. As far as the other leaders, some of them have land listed, some of them don't.
Perhaps the sir is the item we're looking for within the Isle of Man.
Again, he
Oh,
kind
that's what it's called now.
of starts to creak all of his bones. Oh, you can tell at this point he's doing it on purpose as he again looks behind his chair, and again sits back down, creaking. You see he kind of gets his hand up and creaking and kind of brushes a non-existent thing of hair out of his eyes as he slowly puts his hand back down. And he looks at you and he goes, seems the door's opened.
Yeah!
As you open the door, you hear a sudden click and a bunch of more clicking sounds and like the sounds of metal moving on metal as you all walk through the door, and you see the 13th door depicts what looks to be all 12 of the lords fighting against Thief in a bout, and then suddenly it seems to morph as you get closer to the 13th door into them all being broken, thrown about as Thief stands over them.
So,
However, the entrance door, the original entrance to the door, is open. Now fully.
Okay, but what
Was there
happened
still
what
the-
happened to the other one though?
Oh, my
Yeah.
apologies. Yes. The last door is open. Ernst is still there.
I was about to say,
onward!
No, I will say the 13th door has fully formed. It is openable from what you can tell.
I feel like if we
Because
sheep.
we don't have to do Urst, but the Bloods and Ulster Urst could explain things better than he could.
I was gonna say, if we skip out on one, I feel like it'll probably fuck us.
yeah, I don't want to skip anything.
Because Royce said we'd need these answers
He
later.
did say they were important for later.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Also, I'm gonna say it's not a good sign that the place where the object is that needs like hundreds of thousands of souls to unleash it, is in the place where we killed hundreds of thousands of people. I say we vaguely.
Well-
in Isle of Man.
Well, Nero is currently in being summoned supposedly in the Tothlands,
Oh,
which is
okay,
a
so
big
yeah.
island.
Which is where
Because they're
Robot is and has a bunch of souls.
Robot
Yeah,
Island
it's what
is
you
supposed
guys
to
and
be
Monday are doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say for reference, it's right next to. It's the island kind of southwest of the African continent. That's the Toth main island.
Mhm.
So,
Alright.
okay. So as you walk into the final room, you see as the door opens up, and as each of you walk in, you hear it clamp shut suddenly behind you, slamming hard, shoving each of you in.
Oh, that's strange. That hasn't happened in a few rooms.
It hasn't happened at all.
Forceful. He's dominant.
A strange room that seems to kind of be very empty all around you. Very simple stones with little scribblings on them. As you look about, they seem to be nothing but chicken scratch. You see, though, suddenly in the center of a room appears a giant, simple, carved stone table. And then at the center of this thing, it being about 10 feet long and about 10 feet wide, at the center you see a quad weight scale. Each of the quad weight scale, or each of the points of the weight scale have golden bowls and have a strange, different colored powder in them. The first powder seems to be of a gold, and when looked at with either true sight or moving really closely to shows the old High King in his suit with a large Loxodon cat on his lap that he seems to be petting. The second powder seems to be made of a fine obsidian, and when looked at with either true sight or moving closely, shows the old High King as a demonic force, angry with large horns, demonic wings, and an axe that seems to be made of bone. The third powder seems to be made of a blue sapphire-like dust, and when looked at either with true sight or moving really closely, I wrote these when baked, so apologies for the continuous explanation here. Shows a strange dark figure who wears solid plate with a demonic-looking helmet, horn helmet. He seems to have no beard and is portrayed as with a bright gold and silver crown on his head. The fourth is a dwarf with a shroud and a cape covering him almost completely head to toe. A bone sticks out from a sleeve in the shape of a hand. You see the creature holds a staff with a bell at the end of that has a decorative chain that dangles from the centerpiece. The creature is short, as were all the others. Suddenly, a central drain seems to appear in the corner of the room with what looks to be different colors of dust all around it, differing all from the ones on the table. Near to the far corner of the room, Urist suddenly starts to speak. Urist appears as a giant with a slightly paler skin than a cloud giant. He stands about 25 feet tall and seems to wear a darkened cloak. His hair seems to have long been shaven clean or fallen out, as you can't see much more of his face. He begins to speak. I was both the betrayer and the redeemer, and yet here we stand. I'm the one who has claimed many names in history, but when the world split, I was caught in the center of it, creating 4 separate beings from one perfect creature. I would see the worst of what the gods could do, as I was the most hated. Both Lord and God saw me as ambitious and power-hungry, but I saved people, goddammit, and grew more powerful because of it, until I was both God and Lord. But I would cause the end, and my power would be split. For from chaos came vileness, hatred, ambition, and greed. And yet I still stand here in this temple, for I was right, was I not? For if I was wrong, who amongst me could be the source of this falsehood? And I will post that for you.
If I was wrong, who among me could be the source of the falsehood? Interesting question.
The answer is that he wasn't wrong. I'm joking.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, he is, if I remember right, one of the split-offs from the High King, which he'd made a few splits throughout history, or at least so history goes. And he was the, I guess for lack of a better term, the goodness that was in him. Or at least the closest to being good.
4 from 1. From chaos came vileness, hatred, ambition, greed. For I was right, was I not? For if I was wrong, who amongst me would be the source of this falsehood? So I guess are we answering if he was right, or if he wasn't, which one of him lied?
Also, because that's bothering me on how that's typed in here, because that wasn't how it was typed in my notes. I'm just going to clean this a little bit.
Yeah,
So we have Old High King in the suit, Obsidian, which is the demonic one, Sapphire one, which is the dark figure with the horned helmet, bright gold and silver crown, or the dwarf with the shroud and the bell staff.
The first
Which
was
one of them
when he
looks
said
like
the
a liar?
was one we killed when he was the king of hell.
Mm-hmm.
I
Sigrun's impressed with how tall Urist is right now in the
the other
room.
two don't click immediately which ones those are.
Oh, while you're thinking about this, Lucius takes a minute. Let's get his history check out of the
Yep,
way.
his thing.
Ambition.
Alright, with a 12, he kind of looks about and seems his eyes kind of start to glow slightly as they roll back into his head. And he starts describing seeing lava coming up from the ground and melting a group of adventurers almost immediately without a moment's notice. Noting that one of them, a buffer-looking one, seemed to jump out for a moment and cling to something he couldn't really catch, and then fell into it eventually. And then another who seemed to try to overpower the lava by like bucketing it with their own hands and throwing it away would eventually die as well, although slower.
Did none of them try to fly or levitate? L.
He just kind of states that the lava seemed to continue to rise as everything went on. He did mention that he saw what he saw them doing when they failed looked to be pouring one cup of the dust in.
Cool.
What if it's not one but all of them?
I was just thinking that, but question out of character, because I'm not sure if this is something you intentionally did or if this is something we'd have to ask the dude in the room. When it comes to vileness, hatred, ambition, and greed, are they in order of the descriptions you've given us?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, none of these are really good traits. I feel like all of these are the traits of someone who would lie.
The closest to being decent is ambition.
Yeah, but if Ernst is the good, and he's none of them,
I see. Remember,
And
he's the supposed good. The good.
and I
can
guess
carry-
if these are all one and the same being, then if one of them lied, would not all of them lie?
I say I'm pretty sure if DM's history hasn't changed since I've been told, they were all one being. They were all the original Alfred Stone.
You can ask Ernst.
He might get mad. He hated Alfred Stone. Oh boy. I think how to word this to not get him as upset as possible.
This is your only chance to also ask him questions, assumedly, unless you see him in the dungeon later on.
Yeah, we were told
Yeah.
more about what's going on. So if we're gonna ask questions now,
Do you know what the item is that the Lord sealed away?
Yes, I was at the center of it. Of course I would know.
Are you able to tell us?
Yes.
you gotta be blunt, Sigrun. Are
Go
you
on.
willing to tell us? We'll start with that.
Am I willing? I have no reason not to be. You've done nothing to me, and none of my other descendants.
Okay. What is the item that was sealed?
Okay, takes a minute and goes. It's not really an item. Is the easy way to explain it. There were three different ways to become a Beyond God that we had figured out. The first was through powerful magic, which he kind of starts to cast something. You feel a similar sense from the spell from Blood's End earlier, and suddenly he kind of stops for a second. I will offer a save if anybody wants to keep their memories to themselves.
I
No,
figured
no, I'm
no
good.
shit. Now that she knows what it is,
Okay.
she's like, okay.
Vormorn?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
He should be scared about what he's gonna witness.
He takes a minute and goes, "What's the save?" It's a wisdom save.
I think he needs to make a wisdom save.
I don't think we can roll high enough, buddy.
You can try. I won't tell you what the DC is. I will tell you the DC is capable. For a 5e character.
Okay, let's go then.
Uh,
No, what you want, Kill? Go ahead. That's fine. It doesn't really matter.
Key is secretive, it seems like, so I feel like she would attempt the save.
Feel
I feel
free.
like he's checking to see which of the three ways have been used. But
yeah, you can give me a wisdom save, Key, if you like. And let me know what you get. I am curious. let's see.
I also just realized these Lord dudes totally. Oh no, wait, because Sigrun doesn't have it in her memories, does it? I was gonna say they would have totally seen the time she stabbed Thief, but then I realized she lost those memories. So unless they're still hidden in there,
They will see that because it's in my memory.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I hope I gain major
No,
respect with the
you know
Lord
what
for
kills me?
stabbing beyond God.
From a third-party perspective, you stabbing. It's like a movie.
Yeah, just being like, oh damn, she just stabbed a beyond God. But why isn't it in her memories? Interesting. Ooh, no, they'd see it on all in yours.
Okay. You do fail, Key. However, you could have easily succeeded if you just had better rolls tonight for that. Yeah. As the memory is suddenly seen, you suddenly hear Urus kind of chuckle slightly under his breath, and he goes, "The three ways, as Logolthus, the one you know now as Beyond God, came to be, was the first one, and the easiest, was to tap on the mana from the center of the earth that was stored underneath this facility. A central device, if you will, that linked directly into the core. Had extreme mana, but to break into it was considered nigh impossible. We did not figure someone would find a way to do so. The second was through an ancient artifact that had been left behind by Blood's End. I guess he didn't tell you about, which I can't help but chuckle at that. But it makes sense given what he saw, as two of you are tied to Beyond Gods, and that is not something we would care to be involved with." He kind of smiles and goes, "The fact that even you managed to take a single stab at Thief, or that you all were going to make a deal with Kedliz, concerns me quite dearly. In fact, the deal your compatriot Hawken had made with Kedliz should have concerned all of you at the time. The man was bound for destruction."
Really agreed outside of neededness. It seemed, it seems so messy.
Urus continues, though, as he hears that, and goes, "Yes, I can't say I've ever wanted to fuck a Beyond God, but I'd be lying if I wasn't curious." And he continues, "Anyways," is kind of like a side-eye singer.
Just looks confused, but then she looks like she's also considering it. Like, what would that be like?
Wow. Stands up straight and looks anywhere but Sigrun.
He continues, and he goes,
Who's the Beyond God?
"The second was an artifact that you had to trade an immense amount of greed, power, on the mortal plane for. It seems your compatriot had managed to do so by giving up all of his wealth that he had amassed. Quite a lot, it looks like, as what I saw in your compatriot's eyes." As he kind of, again, you see him kind of look down at the floor, and if a skeleton could blush. He kind of looks back up as he composes himself. He continues, he goes, "The third and final way is through the catalyst that I created. Technically, I created it in this timeline. You would know him as Bardrus, a creature that sat upon what you called the former High King's throne down in the Nine Hells. By him absorbing enough energy and then being sent back in time, I was able to convert him after having met him apparently this time period, and turn him into something. In a sense, I've turned him into a walking... I wouldn't call it a library, as I don't think that does justice to the knowledge that he now acquires, but he is what is sealed at the bottom of the ocean. He is the only person now at this time period who knows how to create a Beyond God. Fortunate.
EDM. I'm the key.
He was voluntarily sealed after we removed his brain and was able to seal his consciousness and his soul into the body. That is all that's left down there, if it even exists anymore. But the chains still stand to hold him there, so long as one of us...
For mankind.
We have to cast cantrip chains too.
He looks at what was it, Sigrun?
He mentioned there are chains holding him, so she goes, "Do we have to cast cantrips at that one too?" like recalling the earlier room.
You are so lucky he has a good insight. And he just kind of looks at you and goes, "Oh, no. It's all that the chains are protections by our life. If our lives end, then or our tie to the 12 lords ends, then the chains break.
So it is bad if they are broken, and we don't want to break them.
Well, if not someone who understands what is available, in a sense, unlocks these chains, or they just open up naturally and someone doesn't take charge. And I do specify take charge of this being. They will go on a rampant spellcasting fet of just recreating the world in their own image. They have the power they have and the the drive they've been given will lead to the end of the existence of all mortal kind.
Now, out of game, hold on. A world of Barge's creation. Don't sound too bad.
If
What
we
if
get to
only
be in
it's
it,
gonna be skewed?
Well,
Perfect world of historians.
Okay, so we were told that it was an item, but the item's actually a person.
yes. If you can bring him back to his brain, you would be able to gain access to everything you'd ever need. Any information from the time of the First Age to the modern time period, and anything that would to come, or anything that came in a different timeline, you'd have access to. However, his brain is sealed away in a place that I don't understand from your memories. I don't believe any of you know of the place where it was sealed.
So it can't be Isle of Man, because Sigurd and Lucius have been there.
Not the brain, at least.
But didn't the
The door opened because for where the thing was when Vormorn stated Isle of Man.
Yeah,
yeah
brain.
So,
yeah
How much you want to guess it's somewhere insanely dangerous, like Zilpip's lab?
no, maybe
As Sigrun thinks this, the creature. No, I'm kidding.
you could places like that, but there's the Underdark. There's fucking Noventium, which no one really wants to enter.
Sigurd wants to enter Oventium.
No.
well it has to be someplace somewhere around the Isle of Man, right?
Not necessarily. He did not
If they
specify
were
that.
smart and they didn't want Barges to be used, they'd have separated his body and brain by quite a distance.
Gotcha. So one of the things might be in the Isle of Man, but the other isn't.
He did specify the body was there. Yeah.
The body
Yeah.
is there, the brain's not.
The brain could be where the 12 Lords Alliance land was, wherever that is.
Here?
Yeah,
I mean,
where
that could be in this dungeon later on. We don't know.
he said it confuses him, though. I don't think he'd be talking about his own dungeon. If it
Well,
He did specify is a
we
place
have-
you didn't know about.
yeah. Or we haven't been to in our memories.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of counterproductive to try to think about a place that we don't know.
A lot of us just had our memories fucked with / wiped, so...
Yeah, so guys, I mean, we could try to think about where.
I will say that the spell he cast was high enough that would have been able to see your other memories. So
Schrodinger's brain. It is both everywhere and nowhere.
All right.
he kind of
I
stops for a minute and kind of looks over at Stumpy and goes, "This one may have been. The memories are too foggy to interpret."
Stumpy's here with us again? I thought he left.
You see us suddenly he points to an empty space in the room. There's nothing there. And
Stumpy thinking again.
I didn't know Stumpy could cast magic to turn invisible.
you hear him say "yeah" in a whispered voice as it suddenly the movements can be slightly heard and then it dissipates.
Were you invisible because of the dragons?
Guy stops again, annoyingly looks in your direction. You can't see where he is, but
I was gonna say, he didn't respond, but
and
Sigurd's assuming it was 'cause of the
Urs
dragons.
continues and goes, You've been to the Champions of Pyrrhus once in your lifetime. And he looks at, that's the name I was looking for. Although that is not the name we know them as.
Did
What?
you have fighters back then?
What do you know them as?
He kind of takes a minute and goes, and he starts speaking in Primordial. Stumpy, are you going to translate, or do you want me to just PM what he says? Because I don't think anybody else in the party knows Primordial.
I only know Celestial.
Yeah. Surprisingly, beings who try to kill gods don't know Celestial, or don't speak in Celestial naturally.
Well,
Okay.
I feel like you should learn the language of those you're trying to kill so you can better understand and so you can kill them better.
There you go. I gave him a very rough translation, so give him a minute. Okay, yeah. So he translates it as the champions of the people who are faithless in common. Although he does know it doesn't translate well that way.
That is many words.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yes, that is people of the champions
Here,
of
I'll put it in the chat for you.
I
Just
could almost count that.
It is more than fingers I have. You would notice that she counts champion and people and faithless as like 2 or 3 words, like the
Hey, listen,
syllables.
Sigurd, you got toes.
Oh, I only have 4.
Urus looks over at Vormorn and goes, "Ah, you are preferential to warthogs. That explains what happened to your people.
What?
Am I misunderstanding? You're wanting the boar woman to bend over."
No.
I'm not. I still don't know what a warthog is.
You see suddenly as a small warthog appears in Urus's hands as he's petting it, and he looks at you,
Oh my god,
Sigurd.
it's a baby Scrope!
It's like me, but small and more naked and so weak looking.
He looks at you and goes,
I don't like it.
"It's delicious." And he as he's petting it, suddenly the skin peels off. The creature starts squealing as the organs seem to come out on its own, and it turns into cooked meat slowly.
You know, it reminds me of a pig.
Am I allowed to try it?
This is why Stumpy's gone on a stealth mission in hiding.
Sigurd, I think this might be an ancestor of yours.
It is not Scrofe meat. It is a separate entity. So I don't see what the issue is here. It is by no means my people.
Urus kind of looks over at Vormorn and goes,
So, I mean, I guess.
Are you so much as a angel as she is a boar?"
Precisely. You could eat an angel without issues, minus maybe magical
No,
issues.
I don't think I could eat an angel.
What?
Urus
You
goes,
know-
"Technically, I've done it. You can. Although they do whine and cry a lot about it."
What do angels taste like?
Don't give me an idea for first stage. I'm really thinking about it now.
He goes, like divine punishment.
Oh.
Interesting flavor.
That's the kind of dish I like to distribute.
I was saying, Grun does deal divine radiant damage in her attack, so kind of on brand. I just don't get why its face looks like that. She's looking at like the skull of the warthog, because they do have very different face shapes from boars.
Yeah. You watch as the meat kind of eventually fades away and the bones kind of rot in his hand into dust.
I guess it's too late to try some then.
He looks about and goes, Are there any more questions, or would you like to try and figure out the answer to this riddle?
I'm really tempted to ask him what the answer is.
Would you say, as a, what is the word for when you're not friends, but like you're cool with each other? She's looking at like the Raleigh and the others. As
Acquaintances?
acquaintance to acquaintance, would you think that one of these four, and she points to the scales, were, say, a liar? Would they known for lying? Or are these a truthful bunch?
Give me a persuasion check.
I
I'm baffled.
have bad persuasion. Unless, does this count as the dwarf? If he is part of the hiking, does he count as a dwarf? Because I get advantage.
He is technically a dwarf, yes.
I get advantage on persuasion against dwarves. I still have -1 though.
Go
Oh my gosh. Okay, well that was a nat 1, so I'm hoping next one's a nat 20 just to even it out. Oh, 19 -1, 18. Actually, probably as good as I'll get.
He
Better
looks
than
at you
0.
and goes, "Isn't that for you to figure out?"
Is that the question for us? I'm gonna be honest. I'm genuinely confused.
I do not doubt.
Doesn't need an insight check for that. Just knows that to be true.
Yeah, no, he just kind of nods and sits and waits.
She's looking at the others. Out of character, I still think putting them all in, well, maybe not correct, would be the funniest. Just like, I think they're all liars.
Well, it said if they were wrong, but what if they weren't wrong?
Well, what is it asking if they're wrong about? That they were perfect beings? Is that... Because I'm still a little confused on what...
He says,
It's
who amongst me would be the source of this falsehood?
Well, what's the falsehood?
Sir,
we ever
what's the
establish
falsehood
that?
that you are talking
he
about?
said that. The falsehood, for I was right, was I not? So he's saying, if I was wrong, who is the source of the falsehood?
But what is the falsehood? What is he right about?
Is Vormord gonna shout this question out loud?
Across the room.
I'm ready for it if that's the question you want to ask. The dice are hot tonight. How confident you feeling?
You feel it, lucky punk. Well,
Do I got one bullet or none? You gotta figure it out. Did I shoot them all earlier, or is my luck still going here?
I would like to ask him, what is the falsehood that he speaks of?
He looks at you and goes, "That's for you to decide."
Then would the answers not depend on our interpretation?
Is that a question?
Yes?
Interesting question.
Dorali, does that mean my question was good or bad? I don't understand these nuances of conversation.
It's just his way of saying he's not going to answer your question.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty sure all of the other ones could possibly very well be the source, and I wouldn't be surprised if they all colluded with each other. I'd say just, fuck it, do them all.
I was gonna say, because if it's like open to, creating 4 separate, I would see the worst of what the gods could do, as I was the most hated, ambitious, power hungry, but saved people who grew more powerful. And yet I still stare here. For I was right, was I not? For if I was wrong, who must choose? I don't know. I feel like the answer is either none of them or all of them. I don't feel like
wait.
specific one.
He says, I would cause the end and my powers would be split. the decision he made was before he split. Then would it technically not be all because the decision was made when he was 1?
Ooh, that is a good choice. Both betray and redeemer. Yet here we stand. I'm the one who has claimed many history.
The thing he's alluding to, if he's right or not, was if I'm reading this right, done when he was 1 person. So wouldn't it technically be all 4?
That's what
The
I'm saying.
choice was whether he should split himself or not.
I think it's either neither of them or all of them. I don't think it's one.
It's none or all.
None or all. Would see worse. Because, yeah, he's asking for...
The answer would have been that he was right, but what was he right about?
Would you consider yourself a man who is right about most things?
You hear the skeleton hand clatter against the face.
This is
I was once an adventurer like you, I understand, but...
Before you took an arrow to the knee? I hear that a lot.
No.
Stop it.
Kind of looks at he turns and looks at Sigrun and goes, I mean, you definitely took an arrow in the knee, and in many other places as the memory served.
And blades, and darts, and rocks, and swords, and clubs.
You can feel the terror coming from the skeleton as they're actually you're freaking him out.
I'm pretty sure I've had animal teeth, claws. Let's see what else. Brick,
I had the silence
metal, coal.
Okay, and Sigrun suddenly goes silent again.
She's still talking. You see her still listing things. You just can't hear what.
Just let her keep going for a while.
Do people actually let claws go? And you just hear the skeleton muttering something now.
She missed what you meant. She's very blunt and very straight.
Yeah. Sigrun's listing all the things she's been, like, stabbed with.
He thinks you meant literally being stabbed.
No, he thinks you meant sleeping with all these things.
No, yeah, I'm telling you, he thinks that's what he meant.
Yeah. Oh god.
She's still listing things, by the way.
Yeah, no.
That Sigrun was smart.
He also didn't answer my question of if he considers himself to be a man who's right most of the
course
time.
not. He's annoyed with your questions.
He's disturbed. You've scared one of the 12 lords.
Her memories. He would know what she has. And
you
has
see
not
as he
done
looks
then.
over at Vormorn and goes, "You travel with a harlot. Do you understand this?"
Sigrun does fuck around canonically.
I'll be honest with you. I just ignore it.
I would fear for your horse when the time comes.
I do actually.
I think it's a minute, isn't it, Durley?
Silence?
Yeah.
Because Sigrun has a response to the statement, but I don't know if it would be heard yet. Like if the silence spells under.
A what?
Silence is 10 minutes.
So he says you're traveling with a harlot, and you see Sigrun say something, not like offended, like she's defending herself, just like she's saying something casually, directly in response to that statement.
Yeah, I understand that.
So do you need me to say, like, anyone who's reading her lips, or no?
No, no one can read your lips. No one has that feat, I don't think.
No, we don't have observant.
I know what she said, and it was funny. Too bad I've been silenced.
Was he right? He could be asking if he was right, and that he was power hungry despite the followed he amassed.
I mean, if he's asking if he was power hungry and all the other stuff, I would agree, but I don't know if that's what he's asking.
The decision you're asking about being right or wrong, was it made before or after you spoke?
He takes a second and kind of thinks and goes, "That is for you to decide."
Alright, folks, we determine history here on this episode. It is our decision. We will be the ones who write Rice's history.
Is silence a concentration spell?
It is.
I could punch you, but I don't. Sigrun would never punch Durali. I'm just, out of character
When
acknowledging.
Sigrun stops going on about creatures and stops talking, then I'll cancel the
No,
silence.
she literally stopped listening when
Okay, then I'll turn
commented.
it off.
She replied to it, and then no one reacted to what she said, so she's just kind of
Yeah.
looking confused.
I'll turn it off and I'll look at you and say, "Are you done? Are you good?"
I've not been talking for a bit, but yes.
Okay.
You're rolling a history check. For what?
No, Caleb. Hunter was making a joke about us writing history, not.
Yes.
Are you trying to history check the decision he made? I mean, all right. What'd you get for your history check? Fuck it. Let's see what you got.
That's true. I was.
What did you roll?
Was it
What?
before or after split?
What'd you roll, Key?
Key, you're the
13?
key to all.
So I mean, if what he's saying is correct, based on what you're able to gather from the statement, it sounds like his decision that led to him being split into four. You also kind of put piecing this together with the information you got from Blood's End. You get the sense that that happening to him, being split, wasn't his decision, and something else caused that. But historically wise, I mean, all four of the depictions you see in there, you recognize as like famous tyrants of history. Besides the last one, who was noted as both a warning signal and like the person trying to or someone who tried to save an entire people from his father, who was depicted as his father.
Do we know which one of the iterations took the throne?
Which throne?
The throne of the High King.
Yeah, the first one. That's the one that's most famously depicted, is the one in his suit with the Loxodon cat.
In the vision, they poured one cup and got fucked.
Correct.
The first was the Throne of the High King. The second was the Throne of Hell. And the other two are other.
Yep.
But those are the two that we've met in campaign, like, very famously.
So, well, if the question is if he was hated and like if his actions are what caused him to be split, I wouldn't say he's wrong.
It does say if I was wrong, we could. You were right is an answer we could give. But we don't know what he did.
Then again,
Do we just want to give it a shot?
You can try and roll another history check to see if you could find out anything about this guy.
Fucking everyone roll history. Let's give it a shot. It's worth a try.
actually, yeah. Wait, is this about the four
Oh,
in the cups, or is the question about Urist himself?
That's the
I was thinking. I don't know if the cups are even important.
19 for Morn, man.
Yeah, my rolls started out good tonight. They just,
It's a good thing.
At it.
It's a good thing we're not jumping right into the dungeon this moment, isn't it? With these rolls. All right. 14, 19, 14. All right. So with a 14, you don't get much more than what Key mentioned, or what I told to Key. Only adding on that historically noting that Urist was never a ruler. Secondly, to Vormorn, Vormorn, you've heard the term Urist in recent history from some like adventurers that had been traveling through. Many of them have brought up in the past about some dwarf that was well known in some ruins far to the north that had been discovered. Being spotted there, that there was a dwarf named Urist just being spotted there by adventurers. The only reason this is noted is because shortly after, many people believed Urist showing up was a bad omen and that he was some evil ghost, because the three families of the dwarven criminal underworld would end up rallying together to kill a single person. So many believed that this was this assassin or would-be target's worst omen. Beyond that, you don't get much else with the two. For the 19, Durali, as you start to think about it, you remember a ton of stories about an alternate high concept of the High King being written as a joke book from some crazy scholar that had like published this and had sworn up and down that this was the truth about him ascending to the throne and trying to use his own people to his own ends and wiping them out, and that while Urus tried to stop him and save his people, supposedly Urus in doing so would end up going down in history for something even worse that was never written about, and thus, yeah, it's all you managed to gather.
Girlie kind of pauses and looks at Uruk, kind of furrows her eyebrows. You're not a bad. How do I word this?
While you do that, Lucius is also going to roll his with advantage, and he got a 20. With that, and with Lucius's understanding of the undead, he starts saying something about remembering a piece of history he found in some old ruins when he was traveling around, just in some long lost forgotten area that he hasn't been able to find since then. But he talks about this book that was like had a couple of pages worn on it, very kind of old looking, that speaked about Urus planning to, before he became this great redeemer, something along the lines of planning to absorb the power of all the beyond gods, to use it for himself. He goes, but he's like, when Lucius kind of describes this, he says, although it's a history book, I remember it roughly as more looking like a journal, so I'm not sure how much this will actually help.
You're a confusing person.
You're not a bad guy. You're a confusing person, actually.
No, yeah. She leans on one of her paws and is just like, you might be, in a good way, one of the most confusing of the 12.
You hear a light chuckle.
There's history of you being a good person, there's history of you being a bad, there's history of you not doing much, there's history of you doing a lot. So which is it?
Could it not be all of them?
I mean, some go against each other, some are complete opposites of each other.
But I mean, at different points of times, or in different what were the gods? What were the other lords saying? Time lines. Yes.
He looks over for a moment and lost in thought. Says, "Sorry, what were you saying?"
Aren't there these time lines, time circles in which the same person does different things?
Yes and no. In theory, it's fully possible. That would be something more to ask the first son about.
I don't know. That room there's a sword in there, and I don't like it.
Yes, the first fiend. Yes.
Yes, me and him have problems. I told it to talk to me and it ignored me, and then it turned into a demon and it screamed at me, and then it went back into a sword.
It's better than when Belf at one point managed to he had snuck his way into one of my laboratories that I had been doing some research in on one of the heli that I had captured. No offense, back then your people were a lot different.
Yeah, that's fair. I've been experimenting on.
Fair enough.
Never mind.
He kind of nods at that and goes, "Oh, all right." And he continues on. He goes, "Belf used to love to play small pranks on us and blow up my labs with small compounds of magic that would cause great breakthroughs. But in your question on the timelines, as he kind of stops rambling for a moment and kind of regains his thought process, you kind of start to sense that there's something off about this creature at this point. He goes, timelines are, yes, there are multiple timelines. There have been many that can happen and many that can't happen. But in theory, anytime you do something or make a decision, a new timeline appears.
So could there be a place in which your answer is the answer to your question is yes and also no and then also maybe?
There could be
Could it not-
timelines in which I don't even exist, in all possibility.
Guys, I think the answer is all of them and none of them at the same time.
Is your question about this timeline or all of them? I'll just ask.
When you state this timeline, what exactly do you mean?
Our reality, our version of events, what happened here.
Kind of thinks for a minute and goes, based on the histories of the world, of this world, currently, yes. They are. You find your answer in this timeline's understanding.
Okay.
I don't understand much about this timeline, to be fair.
I don't think you understand much of any timeline, I'll be honest with you.
Damn! 4 more. No, gotta be mean.
I understand a lot about specific things that aren't utilized in a place of riddles and secrets and misdirection. And she's like,
Sure.
she's yelling kind of, but she's looking like out the door at where like the other rooms are and not at like this room.
She doesn't
It's
work crosswords.
Sassing the other lords.
He just kind of lets you finish and goes, they have closed their doors. They can no longer hear you, nor are they part of this reality, as their souls have almost about run out.
They will feel it. They will sense my anger.
Sigrun only
Like
likes.
sneezing wherever they are.
It will find them.
He looks back at you and goes, and your answer, what is it?
Looking at Durali. What does Durali think?
Alright, boys. All or none. One of these right or is it all of them? What are we thinking? I don't think it's a single one.
I don't know. I feel like I personally love the answer of all of them, and that's the one my heart wants, but I feel like from what we've talked about and established, it's more leaning towards that in this timeline this guy is correct, but also I both in and out of character I'm having trouble following, so I'm game for either at this point.
I'd say put them all in. I've already kind of. I want to say I was paying attention for most of this, but I've kind of just. I've been lost.
No, I know. I've kind of left you off the side.
I was focusing, I was listening to what's being said, I'm just having trouble putting the pieces together.
Durali sighs. It's like, alright. Everyone grab one of the 4 powders.
I will grab the obsidian one because, why not?
Alright. Each of the 4 of you grab a powder, not seeing where Stumpy is gone off to, and you walk over to the drain.
I think it's more fitting if Sigrun grabs the greed guy out of irony.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Arias. Yeah, I think it's just more narratively fulfilling if that's the one she happens to grab.
As each of you open your palms over the drain and let loose the powder to fall and collide together, you watch as it swirls into a single, and you suddenly start to feel the room heating up. And then you hear a click as the door opens.
Yeah.
And he looks on and goes, "You're right. I was wrong for my decision, but soon you'll follow the same path."
Will I also be split into 4 more people?
Just gonna walk out of the room.
He goes,
Yeah, that all too late.
Sigrun's standing there, and he looks at you, and suddenly you watch as the visage crumples into the ground and turns to dust.
Of course could have just said you didn't want to
You ran-
answer.
You ran away
As each of you walk out, you hear the 13th door finally corrects itself, and you see something different. The last depiction will be posted Sunday morning. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys next session for the Dungeon of the 12 Lords. All right. Who's ready for death next session?